be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. The seas and oceans are a world that exists within our world that we live in, a world that is alive and covers more than 2/3 of the Earth's area, and hidden beneath it are countless creatures of various shapes, sizes, and attributes. And over the years we made various videos here in Slums talking about the world of the sea and about topics related to it. We talked about the blue whale, the most powerful creature on Earth, without a fin, and whose height is as high as a building from 10 roundabouts. His tongue is the unity of the African way, and we talked about the orca, which although it is called the orca whale, but he has nothing to do with whales at all. It's from a dolphin. And we discussed the strange behavior that orca whales suddenly started to do when you decided to attack humans. They kept wrapping around the bars in an organized and systematic way to drown it. And we also talked about the strange phenomenon in which the researchers observed orca whales hunting on the southern coasts, African, and they eat liver from them, but then they walk. And we talked about the strangest types of lichens found in the oceans. And by the way, their number, he plans 375 types. And we engraved an idea of why the world is Al Mafrodi afraid of dolphins more than Al Arush? An absolutely unimaginable need in that dolphins are not cute creatures or anything like most people remember. Not only can they be predators, sometimes they are addicts and bullies. And we also talked about the strangest creatures that exist in the sea at all. From the beginning of the octopus that some of the sensations, they describe it as an alien living on Earth, and the mysterious place that groups of octopuses go to them to die, and what gathers in it thousands at a depth of 3,000 meters below sea level. And we talked about the fire and the strange that he has a Lizoni snag like the legendary rhinoceros. It's like a creature coming from a fantasy world. And we talked about fish with birds. She opens her fin like the wings of birds and goes out of the water 0 meters. And we talked about the German tear, one of the most impressive creatures, the Navy, nicknamed the gentle sea devil, dolphin or wadi, which is different from all other dolphins in both appearance and behavior. And we talked about the Lord the Sunfish, which is also considered one of the strangest sea creatures in terms of shape. And we talked about the world's largest orish and the largest sea fish of all time, and giant sea creatures that were discovered by chance like cats, which was as big as a polar bear. And we talked about terrifying fish that lived in pictures before history, much more dangerous than the oryx that exist today. And we talked about the terrifying leviathan that lived millions of years ago. It was a mobile killing machine. But the horror in all the sea creatures, so much so that even the megalodon was afraid of him. As you mean all this talk and many other topics in this episode. Before we bottle up and embark on our trip, and we dive under the surface of the water, don't forget to tell us your nomination for topics. We can collect it for you in long episodes like this one. Turn it on next to you at night before you sleep. Let's get started. When the biography of sharks comes in front of us, a big domed shark comes to our mind because of his fame and frequent appearances in news, programs, or even on cinema screens. But that doesn't mean there are many other types of sharks. Its number reaches more than 375 different types. Some of them are stranger than you imagine. Between 9 types of hammer sharks. The great hammer shark is the largest of all, and at the same time one of the strangest types of sharks that you can see in your life, and it is easy to get to know this species without any other type of shark. And this is because of the distinctive shape of his head that acts like a hammer. Did you see his name is the hammer shark because his brain is like a hammer? The name create B means this larch lives in warm and tropical waters in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, and migrate to the calmer water a little in the heat during the summer. In their head that works like a T with an eye on each side, it gives them a very wide field of view that can reach 360 degrees. This is a feature that is unique to a very limited group of creatures in the whole world. In their sensory organs on this broad head, it gives them the ability to scan the ocean for food, which usually varies between fish, crustaceans, squid, and octopus, but the most important prey for them is the stingrays. And who is known to have a thorn in the side at the end of her long span? The hammer shark. Not only can you discover them, they are hiding under the sand. No, he also has immunity to their toxins. And even the way he inspires them is very marching. You find her first cause with his huge head at the bottom of the sea. Then her fin comes back to prevent her from moving. And in the end he feeds on it for less than a while. As for humans, it is not aggressive by nature, but in case he is provoked in one way or another, he can attack any creature in front of him. The shark of the century is one of the strangest shark species. When you look at the top of his head, you feel that you are looking at the one with his face frowned to the extent that you will find in it crimps of a protrusion above the eye. Albers is the reason for the name. The edges of the broth above my eyes are considered by scientists to be like horns of a horningly. His Highness is the arch of the century. I mean, if this is me, we will not find it strong horns. I mean, if you, for example, had the right to name this spray, what will you call it? Write us in the comments. Each one of you, come on, show us the talents of Hedera, and at all you are under the beautiful like, because this helps us reach a large number of people, and subscribe and activate the bell that is still not subscribed. Who is not happy how still did not participate? I mean the truth. Let's get back to our topic. This shark is a length that reaches 1 meter and its weight can reach 9 kilograms. Its softness in swimming is closer to pushing at the bottom of the water. You can tell that he crawls with the fins all the time because of its extreme sensitivity to light. He lives most of his life hiding in caves and crevices between the rocks, and his diet is based on shrimp and crab. But his all-time favorite food is sea urchin. And from the lot of food this type of hedgehogs of purple color, most of its members became distinguished by their teeth dyed in the same color. And one of the strangest information you can know about him, this type of shark, and unlike most other sharks, very connected to its areas and rarely far from it, to the extent that one of the sharks of this type was captured and marked and liberated again in his area, and they found him as he is in the same area after 11 years. Bagong is the common name for 12 species of sharks, known as carpet parchments, and the name of this carpet comes from the flat body of the quality of the sharks and their way of swimming too, and which makes them like a carpet wandering at the bottom of the ocean. The word weepjong itself is a word that comes from the indigenous people of Australia. It means the most stubborn bear. This is because of the appendages around the fish's mouth and the sides of its head. This type of shark lives mainly in shallow waters and tropical around Australia and Indonesia, and always follow it near the bottom of the water, especially that its shape is useful for camouflaging between sand and rocks, and it is characterized by a strong jaw and sharp teeth, and it feeds on all kinds of coral reef fish, and sometimes sharks like her too. Although it is known in general that it is not exposed to humans, but reality and records say otherwise. I mean, you read, for example, in Australian records about shark attack, more than 50 incidents of webgong attacks on humans have been recorded. No, and what? Without any provocation from the victims. In the International Shark Attack Registry, 28 similar incidents have been recorded. Although its ocelons are very small, but its sharkness with a strong jaw makes its slaves scratch instead of swimmers. And after the types of ones like the dotted objong, it is known that it looks on the backs of the victims and does not get down from it as if it was stuck. I mean, if you catch a swimmer in the back, you will not get off him no matter how much he tries to. Flip in the water. I mean, morning of horror. I stood next to a big cow before. It looks scary, doesn't it? These horses weigh about 500 kilograms. He will react to you if you stand next to an animal. It is 10 times. And its length is more than 10 meters, especially that it looks unreassuring. But despite that appearances, sometimes it is a trick. And the sum-in shark is the biggest proof of this. The Baskin shark, or the basking shark, it is the second largest species of fish in the ocean ever, and one of the strangest types of fish that you can see in the first place. He got his name from his habit of swimming near the surface of the water and his dorsal fin that he protruded above it, and with its very slow movement, you can feel that he is comfortable in the sun and sunbathing a little. It lives in temperate waters almost all over the world, and the thing that distinguishes him the most is the giant jaw. The sun-drenched shark, when it opens its mouth, reaches a full meter wide. I mean, it is normal. If you see this scene coming to you, you will watch and surrender yourself. But the truth is that this type of shark, they have absolutely no interest in eating anything except plankton and fish eggs. In this wide jaw they enter with it on the groups of plankton. They eat from it as much as they harm, although humanity has been hunting them in large quantities for a long time. However, this type of shark has never shown any signs of fear or aggression towards humans compared to its huge body size. The sunbathing shark has the smallest brain among all the shark species known to us, so despite this small brain and its slow speed and its huge size, but he can jump completely out of the water in a smart attempt to expel the parasites on his body. It is difficult for any creature to notice the presence of an angel shark hiding at the bottom of the water, and this is not because his size is small or anything, but his skill in camouflage is dangerous. The world has 24 species of angel sharks, and you may get confused a little bit between them and the fish of the sea or the sea devils, and the reason for this is the shape of their flat body, but still it is easy to differentiate between them by a part of the fins that are present at the angel shark, and this of course besides their way of swimming, which is like most sharks in that they move their tails right and left. This type of shark uses the method of surprise in hunting. It hides at the bottom of the ocean by burying itself in the sand, and after that you seize the right moment and pounce on the prey, whether it was fish, squid, or even krill. And her way of camouflage has become very strange. She chooses a location and proves herself in it, and she starts with a smile that blows her body a couple of times until the sand starts to scream on it, and it comes out covering her whole body except for her eyes, and then it stabilizes without any movement. Probably the strangest type of shark ever, and the rarest of them, is the shark of Al-Afrit. This species is the only one left of its family after the extinction of all its members. It lives in the ocean from the beginning of the water surface to a depth of 1,300 meters, but the chances of finding it are very limited, and from the moment it was scientifically described in the late 19th century and today, it has been monitored a few times, not more. And the prominent part of his face is full of sensory receptors who can shoot the movement of the fries around him. Researchers believe that this type of crouch has a slow movement in the water, and also its eyesight is weak, and instead of chasing the prey he waits for it to pass in front of him, and here he does something like a frog that sticks out its tongue to catch insects, but instead of the tongue this jaw itself is the one that comes out of his mouth. No, and when it comes out at a huge speed estimated at 3 meters per second to catch the prey that varies between fish and squid and crustaceans. When we bring Secret, an agent animal famous for his huge body and big remains and his wide hostility, without imagining that he can eat anything that comes to his face as long as its size is smaller than him. But the truth is that this does not apply to all the huge animals or anything. When we come to talk about any animal that is big, this animal needs a very large amount of energy to be able to live. And in marine life in particular, this energy is available in two forms. Either fish are big in size but live alone, or creatures of very small size but live in swarms of thousands if not millions of individuals. So what makes a fish the size of a public transport bus waste effort more than once in attacking a prey that is big and can resist and can hurt it too, when it can take these same calories in one attack on a swarm of poor crustaceans and save its effort? Since the strategy of saving energy in exchange for getting more food is the most appropriate and in some cases the best strategy, God Almighty distinguished some giant sea creatures with a very unique feeding style. Scientists call it the filtering method, and in it they can separate the little edible creatures from the water. And it is also amazing that each of them has his own style of getting food. If we were to look, for example, at the largest living thing on Earth, which is the blue whale, we will find him following this filtering method. The blue whale weighs from 150 to 200 tons, and its length is about 30 meters. I mean the height of a building consisting of 10 roundabouts, and a body of this enormous size must have abnormally giant organs, and it will need a very large amount of energy to work. This is how he is forced to migrate every year with the beginning of winter to breeding areas, and in this migration it travels a distance estimated at 6,500 kilometers, which of course wastes a huge amount of energy. This is besides that during the mating season he often eats in the first place. This means that he must be prepared before her and have a sufficient reserve of fats, which goes from 35% to 50% of his total weight. And of course, so that he can reach this huge percentage, he must eat very large amounts of food. It reaches 6 tons per day. I mean, he eats 6,000 kilos a day, and in the areas where the blue whale lives, there is nothing more suitable than crustaceans, and specifically a certain type of them that looks like Janbali like this. His name is Carol. Blue whales have their mouths in something called Balinese boards. They have it instead of teeth. And this is semi-masted boards made of keratin. And it is the same material that makes up the hair and nails in humans, and it gives them strength and flexibility at the same time. The whale, when it sees its swarms of krill, He chooses the biggest swarm of them so that it does not consume a lot of effort and dive deep into the ocean to gain speed. The krill is rushing at speeds of up to 32 kilometers per hour. Note that he usually swims quickly at 8 kilometers per hour only. Then he turns on his side and opens his mouth to the other and collects tons of krill, and with them of course manned quantities of water. And what makes the solution of the whale stretch is like a balloon, but this shape doesn't last long because the water comes out again from these balloon spaces as fast as I got in. As if she came back to the refinery exactly, and preferably in the krill mouth that after that he can swallow easily using his tongue. The truth is not the blue whale, but the one that is characterized by these balloon plates. It is even found in many species of whales, but even so, not all baleen whales eat in the same way. So you have, for example, the gray whale, which although it is smaller than the blue whale in size, but it is still a giant whale that reaches 15 meters long and its weight reaches 40 tons. And also he travels in seasonal migrations for very long distances ranging from 16,000 kilometers to 22,000 kilometers. I mean almost 3 times the distance that the blue whale migrates, and accordingly he needs very large amounts of food, which can be half a day. And this is also so that he can have a respectable layer of fat that strengthens and supports him during the trip, and also its choice is on crustaceans and plankton. But the gray whale is focusing more on a completely different type of crustacean that looks like the Janbali too. Its name is this little creature that only exists in burrows and under the sand at the bottom of the water. And that's why we'll find that the gray whale feeds in a very different way than the rest of the baleen whales. Although the gray whale is a sadist, I mean it breathes air, and this means that it needs close to the roof, but nevertheless it is necessary to specialize to a depth of 155 meters to reach food. What is he doing then? He floats slowly on his side over the sand and sucks a big part of it. It's like a broom under the sea. Then he approaches the roof again and sticks this sand with his tongue outside to get her out in the extra water from between the balloon spaces. And also the crustaceans remain. And after that with happiness and healing. Although this method of filtering food is more popular among whales, that there are only a few types of giant sharks, she is also being invaded by this filtering method. The most famous of all is the whale shark, which reaches a length of about 20 meters, and its weight ranges from 11 to 20 tons, and what makes him sit on the throne of the first place as the largest type of roach ever. But just like his cousins we talked about, it also invades crustaceans, plankton and small fish, but our friend doesn't have plates like them to filter the food with. Instead of these plates it has a rough part in the pharyngeal area. It will be 3,000 years ago. Every year of them does not exceed 3 millimeters. These teeth stop in anything with a diameter of more than 2 miles. I mean we can say that there is nothing that escapes it except water, and after you get rid of it you go to the nostrils to pass the second filtration stage, and 100 classes go out without any food. And that's why we will find that the shark depends on 3 different pills for nutrition. It changes between them depending on whether there are many crustaceans or not in the water, and also the amount of energy they need. I mean if you are not very hungry you will find a house that is like this in the water while it is open, and the width is about 1.5 meters, and let the fish come to him. He prefers to close and open in his mouth about 28 times in the mouth, and in the end he sees the result that came and he noticed it. But if he is hungry he goes hanging vertically near the roof. His head is up and his tail is down, and open his mouth to the other and suck huge amounts of water up to 500 liters at a time. And sometimes it combines the 2 methods, so he sucks this water while he is swimming, and this way although it consumes a lot of energy from it, but it also provides him with large amounts of food, especially that it can filter more than 6,000 liters of water per 1 hour. The megamus is one of the most distinctive species of shark. It is approximately 5 meters long and weighs on average tons, but the numbers are not very certain because this type is very rare in nature, and the samples that were repelled are monitored from the first discovery in 1976, and today there are about 273 individuals, and the reason that we don't see them a lot is that they live at depths that exceed 4,500 meters below sea level, and rarely when they come up on the roof. But the studies that were done on some samples showed that it invades small fish. crustaceans and plankton, although he has a wide mouth 1.5 meters wide with 2 full rows of teeth. But his little teeth can't chop food with them. And this is what makes him target swarms of small fish in order to swallow them, and when he inserts them in his mouth they get stuck in his teeth between these bumps. Then the excess water comes out of the nostrils and it is preferable to eat. And this type can also filter more than 500 liters of water at a time. And as for the way in which these things enter inside, Sunday today no one saw him eating underwater. But researchers expect that it attracts fish and plankton around it by means of a reflective tape that is located above the mouth area along. And as soon as they get close to him, he opens his mouth to the other and sucks the water in it. Besides the whales and sharks that invade the small fish by filtration method, there is a special type of sea creatures that join them in this value, which is the sea devil or the manta. Manta fish are one of the largest species of rice ever. Its weight on average reaches a full ton, and the average distance doesn't show its violence reaches 5 intars. Sometimes it can reach 9 meters. I mean as if it is a building 3 roundabouts with width in the water, although its enormous size, and its name that might suggest that it is one of the terrifying predators in the deep sea. However, they mainly depend on small fish, plankton and crustaceans, like our friends that we talked about, and unlike most types of rice, manta does not depend on repellent at all to get food. It even takes advantage of the size of its large fins and its wide mouth, and she floats in the water in the direction of eating and takes a large amount on her way without any effort. Sometimes they float in circles around swarms of krill. To create something like a whirlpool, they trap krill in it before they eat it. But this movement is supposed to be the reason that the impurities enter the fish's mouth and block its eyelids, as happens sometimes with any types that feed the nomination. And yet this topic never happened with manta, and this reason kept the researchers confused for many years, until a group of researchers came in 2018. They discovered that manta fish have a completely different filtration mechanism from other species. It doesn't use the sifting method in the first place to filter the food, but it turned out that the plates that are in her shoes, there is a small fold at the end that makes the food and micro-objects mess in it. And it rises up in the form of a spiral so that it enters the digestive system and does not go beyond the 2 intestines in the first place. Thus the Kayashin stays clean and its age is blocked. Some researchers say this discovery could lead to the emergence of more efficient water filters in the future. Throughout history, sharks have been known as one of the most ferocious sea creatures in the entire ocean. That's if she wasn't the fiercest at all. And what contributed to this is its terrifying shape and sharpness. In the movies that portrayed the shark for us as a serial killer and a bloody creature of horror. Excellence. But on the other side we will find dolphins, loved almost all over the world because of their cute looks, innocent features, and smile that never leaves their faces. This is besides that their teeth are not clear most of the time. They are not supportive, and that's why people considered sharks a source of danger and anxiety for their lives, and that dolphins are Muslim and nice creatures and come to play with them. But in reality the situation on the ground is not in this rosy picture. The dolphin, and contrary to expectations, are killers and thugs and addicts and also bullies. Sometimes a marine gang is afraid of them, the big one before the young, and avoids them. A lot of fish in the first of them is the sharks themselves. There is no doubt that the dolphin is one of the most skeletal creatures in the animal world. They have mental abilities that make them different from any other marine creatures, to the extent that if we compare the size of the dolphin's brain with the size of the brain of the rest of the creatures, we will find him surpassing many of them. The weight of the dolphin's brain reaches 1,600 grams, and sometimes it is more than that. And this brain is not just its weight. This reflects their mental abilities clearly, due to the huge number of neurons inside the brain. This is in addition to that they have a developed and complex cerebral cortex that is different from other animals, and that's why they can find solutions to problems. They have a high ability to learn and think quickly. And most importantly of all, that dolphins have self-awareness and awareness, and their intelligence is precisely the cause of the problems. The intellectual excellence of the dolphin has a very influential negative side, and is not known to many people, which is that the dolphin is a bully animal of the first degree, especially against humans. For example, if they find someone playing with them, they might prefer to throw things on him. and spray water on him in the way of laughing them, or do any things that make the rest of the dolphins laugh at him, and sometimes they deliberately ignore the orders of the coaches by making unexpected acrobatic moves. They were kind of making fun of the coach while trying to control them, and a group of divers decided to do a swim experiment next to dolphins in the Bahamas to watch the behavior of dolphins. In the beginning the dolphins were cute and everything, but after a while they started stealing snorkeling equipment, the harms or swimming tools, and they prefer to play with them in front of divers. A little bit they take them and throw them in the water, and a little bit they return them to the divers again, and some throw them at each other as a challenge for the divers. You can return the thing yourself, or you can't. In addition, some studies have said that dolphins torture weapons in the Navy, and they prefer to play with it to force it to sink underwater. And they do the same behavior with squid swarms as a kind of entertainment and play. And not only that, dolphins have no problem that they practice these riots and bullying on themselves, and they harass the other dolphins, and after the reports say that the dolphins steal food from the other dolphin, for that male dolphins move in groups and harass people. Dolphins reflect them. I mean this without any reason besides the naughtiness of these dolphins. Dolphins are addicted creatures that give drugs. There is a fish in the sea called the puffer fish or puffer fish. This fish lives in tropical waters and is one of the most characteristic fish because it has the poison of Tucson inside. It is a deadly poison for sea creatures and may even be fatal to humans as well, but in small doses it causes a psychedelic effect, and this is what you use the dolphin after they know the right dose, and they deliberately played with this fish repeatedly and some threw it until it secretes its poison, and they take the dose they need and make a brain and stay in the sea. One of the worst things we can know about dolphins: they kill other sea creatures just for fun. A group of researchers observed very strange behavior in dolphins with bottlenose or bottlenose dolphins. It is the common type of dolphin that we see in marine parks. They discovered that this species attacks the porpoise unjustifiably, and this porpoise is a marine animal that lives next to dolphins but is of the cetacean family, although they look like cousins on the surface. But the dolphins forget them, beat them, and let them drown without even eating them. And this is what made the researchers conclude that dolphins do this for fun and nothing more, or impose control. Say that dolphins have aggressive behavior against baby dolphins, so much so that it has a name, which is dolphin infant or the dolphin children. And as its name is clear, male dolphins kill the little dolphins that the mother is still caring for, to cut her off the breastfeeding period and marry her again. This also shows us that dolphins can only be killed to fulfill their desire to reproduce. If you are shocked now from what we talked about dolphins, and we were submissive to them and it didn't come out cute and for something as we used to think of them, the biggest surprise is that the people are not aggressive like the movies they portray for us, and that they are the sworn enemy of humans, and they attack humans for no reason. And what chance do most of them go and eat the man's leg and all this talk? In fact, studies prove the opposite of this talk. Most of the people already avoid contact with humans. In general, the fish do not attack the human, except through curiosity. They thought it was another sea animal like seals, or by mistake. And as soon as they discover that it is not the meal they thought, they let him walk. Devo on this that most of the sharks have bad eyesight. They are well in a range of about 15 meters only, and this makes them mix between humans and other natural prey, especially the white shark, as it is responsible for most of the attacks, which is already rare. The poor field of vision that he has makes him confused between surfers or skateboards, and between the seals or the fish that he is looking for. But if we come to look from the other side, we will find that humans are the real danger to the Oros, because humans are constantly attacking the Orish. Humans kill about 100 million fish annually, and who are mastered most of the time because of their fins. They make a drink from it in more than one Asian country, and sharks, even in their relationship with dolphins, are always oppressed. Studies show that the relationship between a dolphin and a shark is always a tense relationship, because dolphins are the ones that annoy sharks, not the other way around. You go and play next to them, annoying them and make loud noises next to them, and that's why sharks don't like to swim next to dolphins, and if they see them they avoid them at all, because they know that dolphins are creatures of problems. Sharks of all kinds are big or small. You are already vulnerable to predation from the first predator in the ocean. And the largest types of dolphins, orca whale or killer whale, which by the way is not a whale as its name shows, it's from the dolphin family. It is described as a whale because of its large size and enormous strength. Orca sits on the throne of undisputed sea predators. It can kill any sea creature no matter what it is, even the white shark. And who mostly kills him just to eat his liver, and then he throws it. I mean the sharks, even if they were spared from the marble of the little dolphins, they can meet the biggest and most dangerous species of dolphins, and at that time their chance of survival will be much weaker. If we came to try swimming or diving with sharks, we will find that many divers swim very normally next to sharks. There are no problems. You have, for example, Ningalo Bay in Australia. The people there swim next to the whale sharks, and they are giant sharks from the White Pole, completely Muslim, and they swim next to people and take pictures with them, and there are no problems. And this is not only the Muslim shark, there are many other types of Muslim, like the sand shark and the gray shark or even the tiger shark. But on the other side, although dolphins appear nice to people, but she is often naughty and acts aggressively. And many marine life experts warn against swimming with them or going next to them. In general, if we look at the statistics and figures for the rushes, we find that most of them are peaceful and do not attack humans or attack dolphins. They are considered victims of humans and dolphins in the first place. As for the dolphin, from the largest species to the smallest of the species, they are a source of pain and danger to the people all the time, whether the big or small sofas or any other creature that lives next to it, either for fun or for the purpose of imposing control, as if they are a gang living in the sea. They would have been creative if we asked biologists and told them, if there is an animal that can be described as an alien creature coming from outside the earth, it will be a sick animal. 90% of the answer will be one word. The world is full of strange and easy creatures. But in the midst of this great diversity, cephalopods in general and octopus in particular, they are not at all similar to any other type of animal on the surface of the earth, as if they are a special species with special qualities. To say the least, they are supernatural qualities. That's the giant Pacific octopus. This octopus lives in areas of the North Pacific, specifically in California, Alaska and the coast of Canada, and some of it is also found in northern Japan and Russia. This octopus reaches an average length of about 4 meters, I mean longer than a full floor. As for this tube, it is about 10 centimeters in diameter, soft. He will react if I told you that this chubby has the ability to press himself and enter inside this small tube and pass from the other side as well. Impossible, not like that. Okay Eric, that this Abby can do this, very normal. This hiding almost doesn't have any solid parts in his body. He doesn't have bones or skeletal supports or anything other than his beak, but his entire body is soft tissue, and this allows him to shape his body the way he wants. He lengthens himself, affects himself, he recites, he does what he wants. Something like the inflatables in the superhero movie of Mr. Incredible. And that's why this octopus can squeeze himself and enter inside any hole before him. Some of its large species have also been spotted coming out of holes with a diameter of only 2.5 years to none. One of the things that is also annoying in the octopus is its plants or tentacles. The rice planted his own. They are not just ordinary limbs, he uses them in movement, and that is it. These plants for him are his whole life. In the beginning, this octopus smells its plants. Yes, as you heard, he sniffs with his armor. Each octopus plant has about 300 lobsters. And the lollipop is the distinctive decal shape that we notice in Dara. Each of the 3 sucks has more than 10,000 sensory receptors. And these receptors enable the octopus to sense all the smells around it accurately. And not only that, but he can taste through these receivers as well. I mean the octopus, if it is planted on something, he can immediately feel its taste, and he can know if it is urgent or sour, or will it be appetizing for him or not. He can even feel all the chemicals in the water, and also the materials that are emitted from the prey that he hunts. And the topic does not stop at chemicals, and that is it. The sensory cells in these plants can also sense pressure, vibrations, and mechanical movements. In a study conducted by a group of researchers from Harvard University in 2020, and it was published in the magazine Cell, they brought 2 boxes in which they put one of them a crab and put a rock in the other, and the two boxes were completely closed and not between them, and they brought more than one octopus and put them in front of the two boxes, and all of them were able to distinguish the box with the crab with ease, and they were going crazy to eat it. And this is because they were able to sense his simple movements inside the box. If you were surprised by what we said about the shields, take it too. The number of neurons in the octopus reaches 500 million cells, and of course a number like this is very shocking for an invertebrate animal, because this number is almost as many as the number of neurons that are present in dogs, and the weakness of the nerve cells that exist in the cat. But this also did not face alienation in the topic. The strange thing is that 500 million neurons are not even present in the brain. Most of them are in his plants. I mean, we can say that the hiding man can think in his ruins. A group of researchers from the University of Washington, USA, presented Khadiv's research in 2019 at the Astrobiology Conference. What happened in the search was that they were watching an octopus in the water at a moment when he was standing in front of a metal box and looking for food, and they were filming at that time in its entirety. It had the ability to analyze the neural data that happens in the body. The surprise was that they noticed that his plants analyze the sensory and motor information that they acquire from the environment around them, and after you deal with this information, it is very normal and commented without waiting for any orders from the brain. And this topic is considered a very unique case, because most of the living creatures have little decision-making starts from top to bottom, or in a true sense from the brain, and then it goes to the rest of the body. The hiding man has a few decisions from his armor all the time. In fact, each of them can make a decision separately from the rest of the crops, and the octopus had 8 brains, not 8 arms. On mentioning the brain and the nervous breakdown, it is worth mentioning that the octopus is considered the finest animal in the world without dispute. Invertebrates, the octopus has a strengthening memory and its cognitive behaviors are very high. In almost all the tests that are dealt with on any octopus, they pass in it with all radicality. In the late 1950s, a group of biologists from the University of Oxford, they were trying to know if the octopus could distinguish between geometric shapes or not, and they used to put in front of him models of many shapes, series, circles, squares, rectangles, and others, and the octopus used to start holding these shapes and playing with them out of curiosity. But the first time his hand came to a rectangular figure and he held it, the people in charge of the experiment were giving food as a reward, and when they repeat the topic more than once, they discovered that the octopus is the first thing you put geometric shapes in front of. He gets out of their rectangular installment only and holds it and stays waiting for his prize. In some of the more difficult tests, the octopus could distinguish in it this rectangle in front of it is limited horizontally, or a vertical shape. Another thing the octopus is very good at is the luck of the terrain and the details of the places. I mean, when they put the octopus in a water tank, there were obstacles that looked like a maze. The first time it took a long time to get to the exit of the maze, so when they put it in this tank again, he was coming out of the maze very normally, as if he was keeping the way. And another amazing thing that he is also good at is that he can use the tools of humans. And he can take things apart from each other. I mean, for example, when they used to throw a closed jar with a fish inside it, in less than 1 minute he was holding the jar and opening his lid, and his farmer enters and takes out the fish and eats it. But what is more amazing is that when he used to find a silver coconut fruit divided in two, he points these two texts and takes them to a specific place and uses them as if they are his house. He sits inside a half and points the other half to close it on himself. And not only that, all the researchers who conducted experiments on any octopus living in a glasshouse, they say that the octopus can recognize faces and associate each person with his behavior. I mean, if there is a person who always comes to put food for him and take care of him, as soon as they spot this person, they move actively and get close to the surface of the sink. But if there is someone else who tries to catch them and bother them, so they also understand this talk, and as soon as they see it coming from far away, they stay off the roof and sit at the base. Another thing is also one of the very strange things at the octopus. They are described as masters of disguise. The octopus can change the color of its skin to suit the shape of the sand, rocks and corals around it, and so he can hide their installments easily. And what helps him in this topic is that his skin has things like small water balloons. Its name is chromatophores. These balloons are divided into groups. Each group of them has a dye of a specific color inside it, which are usually black and red and yellow dyes. And these bags are surrounded by communal muscles, and these muscles can control the size of the sacs. I mean, you can let the bag shrink or expand. And the sac that stretches is the one whose color appears on the skin from outside. This is also that the avid can make a mixture between the sponge he has, so that most of the colors in the range of black, red and yellow come out through them. But if he wants to produce more diverse colors, in this case he uses another layer in his skin. It has reversible structures called iridophores, and these foods can reflect certain wavelengths, specifically the lengths of the blue and dangerous color, and for that, if the octopus wants to color itself in need of two colors, he uses this class. This is in addition to the fact that there is a third layer under these two layers. It also has reverse cells, and these cells are specialized in producing white tones, and through these free layers the cloak is harmful to simulate any shape or any color for anything around it, although the mechanism changes color for him is similar to the mechanism of changing color in the chameleon. However, the speed of change is very different between the two animals. The chameleon can take about 20 seconds to switch between one color and the other, but the tab does this in less than 5 seconds. Finally, one of the very strange information is that even the blood of the octopus is not like normal blood. The blood of the octopus is not red like most animals. This is because his blood contains the complex hemoxantin rich in copper, and that's why his blood color is blue. Unlike humans and most living creatures whose blood contains the hemoglobin complex a lot, and who is rich in iron, and for that his color is reddish, and all of this has become a pile, and its ability to produce ink is another pile altogether, and we talked about this ink topic in an episode in detail. It is on a captive channel called How Ink and Hiding Produce Ink. And that's why, with all the ridiculous qualities that we talked about and more, also the place does not seek because we mention it. The kookbod deserves to be described as an alien creature coming from the outside of the earth. In 2018, a group of researchers from the Monterey Institute of Aquaculture, they were doing a tour in the Pacific Ocean near the California coast at a depth of hundreds of rain. During their search, they were surprised by a very strange scene. Thousands of hides gathered in one place next to each other without any movement. They look like they're dead. The topic is happy. It confused the scientists very much, especially that they know that the celibate is as if my isolationist doesn't like gatherings, and they have been unable for years to understand why the hides are gathering here in such a huge number, and we are full of choosing this particular place. The octopus is an animal characterized by isolation and introversion, and rarely when we find more than the octopus walking together, and for this we will find that the octopus spends most of his life in the deep sea, hiding among the rocks. Gradually, some types of octopus use their powerful arms to make a door for herself that closes on her while she is inside, and this shows us how much he is an animal that doesn't like to show up a lot, and he likes to be alone unlike most of the other creatures around him. And if once I found him photographed outside his hole, so I know that he is out having to hunt. He goes out to hunt the prey, which by the way doesn't take a minute in his hand, whether it is squid or fish or a crab. And he didn't go back to his isolation as he was. I mean, from the end, the hijab is used to spending most of his life living alone between the four walls. But there is a specific time when a sudden change occurs in his life, and this is the moment when the octopus decides to reproduce. Once the octopus decides to mate, he gives up his isolation and gets out of his hole knowing that he will not come back again. The male goes out looking for the female he will marry at certain times of the year, which is mostly in spring or summer. They get together and take each other and go to their own place, a place where they can mate and care for the eggs until they hatch, which is contrary to expectations for a long time that reaches 2 full years. Huge numbers of squirrels gather in this place and throw rocks without any movement for tens of kilometers on the ocean floor, in a strange scene to the extent that this place has become the largest gathering of cobwebs on Earth, and it is the place known as the Garden of the Experiments or the Contraptions, depending on who you are in the Arab AFL veterinary. What distinguishes this garden from others, and the scientists discovered this garden in costume. The art of 2018 was the ability of researchers to discover the secret place where these clicks gather by submarines and video cameras. 1 year after they were discovered, in April 2019, a group of researchers from the Monterey Institute in California decided they'd send themselves to this hammer garden on their first expedition to the place. And they used advanced robotic submarines that can descend to true depths under the ocean. This is because the park is located at a depth of 3,200 meters below sea level, near the base of Mount Davidson Marine. With the help of forked cameras, scientists surprised by hundreds of octopuses with shisha on rocks. And when they got closer to the cameras, it turned out that they are octopuses of the type of stork. Octopus, which by the way is called by this name because when it is seen from a distance, it looks like a shiny stork on the bottom of the sea. It is new to note that scientists during the exploration also noticed something a little strange, and this is their confusion more. This is because the octopus is a marine animal that likes to live in cold waters, but at the same time the temperature of the water in this area warmer than the areas where he usually lives, and the strange thing is that they were comfortable normal, and the strangest thing is that they didn't know where the source of the warm water DJ came from, so he said these bumps know something we still don't know. And he found the secret of their real attraction to this place. After about 14 dives, researchers have warned over the years, the mystery began to unravel one by one, and it turned out that the password is the springs or thermal cracks, which is in the garden ground. It turns out that this area is from Monterey Bay. It pours relatively warm water inside the cracks at the bottom of the ocean. And this is the heat that females need after the process of mating, because it creates the perfect environment for the egg sacs in less time than normal, and this is unlike if they nested with their eggs anywhere else in the ocean, and this is because water is naturally in the ocean. Its temperature does not exceed 1 refractory, sometimes it even gets close to 0 cardboard, and this cold environment is considered a completely unsuitable environment for the octopus egg sacs. After mating, this is because it slows down the growth of the embryo inside the egg and increases the incubation period. You let her go from 5 to 8 years. And of course this long period increases the chance of putting the new resources in danger or even death before he hatches it from the egg. But in the warm water the situation is completely different. The warm water that comes out of the cracks is squeezed from the growth of the fetus inside the egg, and therefore the house hatches in its time much less, and this short time reduces the chance that the house is endangered by predators. The topic is like that we as humans found something that makes the pregnancy period instead of 9 months it is only 2 months, and the fetus is born healthy without any side effects. This is what people discovered the hiccups. They used this garden to protect the eggs and their young by building nests over the cracks of warm water, and this is what the researchers concluded after years of research. After we know the reason, there's a new question that arose itself. Well, where does this warm water come from? If we look at the site of the park, we will find that it is located near a huge sea mountain called Mount Davidson, in what turned out to be a volcanic mountain underwater amidst natural heat because of the volcanic activity inside it, and the warmth emitted from it collects in the cracks in the ocean floor. It makes the temperature of the water rise from 1 degree Celsius to 11 degrees Celsius, and this increase is what attracted the octopus people to the place, and what they are now gathering in is up to 6,000 people at the same time. And some researchers say that it is expected that this number will reach 20,000. Confusion, I mean the biggest gathering of hiccups on the face of the earth. And over the course of the 2 years the eggs hatch, the people who are stuck prefer to the same position, and you don't move right or left. We're just busy protecting the whites from any predator. The Garden of Dreams, despite its advantages, however, it is still a source of attraction for marine predators, which is not a condition to be large marine animals like sharks, for example. The biggest danger they face is the garbage sea creatures known as scavengers, like crabs, starfish, and other crustaceans, and what is clear from their name is that they eat anything that comes in magnanimity, including the octopus egg. And these are not only the things they can dread in the octopus egg, sometimes the mother herself weakens her strength, and she may die before the eggs are destroyed, and this is because once you put the eggs you enter a state of fasting that can last throughout the incubation period, which lasts for 2 whole years. And this fasting of course affects the health of the octopus and makes her body consume all the fat and muscles inside her as a source of nature. And this of course affects in a very negative way her ability to defend herself and the whites. If the 2 years passed well and the mother survived the attacks of the predators and survived all this long fasting, her fate is also inevitable. And this is because the mother, as soon as she checks on the kids and that the house is enacts successfully, it ends the long journey of sacrifice with a very strange behavior, which is that she kills herself. And the two researchers say that after the house it does not hatch, the mother is going through severe hormonal changes, and these changes start to cause her severe behavioral disorders as she starts eating parts of her body like plants, for example, or she trains her head hard in the rocks. There is a phenomenon known as biological suicide. And after the mother dies, her body turns into a source of food for other sea creatures. And suddenly the garden turns into a mass grave in the literal sense. Some researchers say that the death of the octopus after the egg sacs attracts some other types of octopus because of the odors that come out of its body. This contributes to the octopus population that prefers to increase in the garden and ensures the continuation of reproduction and the survival of a species. I mean, we can say that the life of the octopus forget Amy completely on sacrificing herself, and us the generations that will come after that, and every generation sacrifices for the generation that will come after it, and that's why we can say that the octopus garden is a symbol of the environmental balance in the ocean world, and the wisdom of the rule of God Almighty in His creation that we barely discovered. Near Canadian Magic, a family of father and mother and their daughter go on a boat trip. While the father and mother were busy, the little girl noticed something strange popping out of the surface of the water, something that looks like a wood or a stick, but the stick is supposed to float on the surface of the water and not be a stick like this, as if it is standing on the water. And when I looked closely, I found that it is not just an ordinary stick, it is a stick that looks strange. So the girl took out a paper and a pen and drew the wood that is in the shape of a spiral, as if it is a magic horn like the one found in the legendary rhinoceros. And she called her father and mother and told them, look at him, a unicorn in the water. So the father looked and suddenly called his wife as if he saw an alien creature. The magic horn that is in the water appeared next to him and they started moving together. After a while the magic horns rose more in the surface of the water to reveal the mythical creatures with horns. If I told you now that there is a whale known by its name rhinoceros, you might think of many reasons and call it by this name, far from being a real whale that Erna Frasso is looking for, especially that the horse is a unicorn. He is considered one of the most famous mythical creatures of all time. But the whale we have now is not a legend. This is a fact that lives along the coasts and rivers, throughout the Arctic and surrounding areas, especially Russia, Canada, and Greenland. The rhinoceros whale ranges in length from 4 meters to 6 meters, and its weight makes a movie medium ton and sucking, and known by more than one name. Among them are dates, centipedes, sea crabs, and narwhal whales, but its most common name of all is the unicorn whale. This whale is one of the first containers in our world, which influenced scientists and researchers, especially with his magic horn. Although it is not magical in the sense recognized in stories and legends, but it's magical in the world of the sea. At first he didn't ring, and not even out of the front of the whale's head. Oh, as we find all the time now, I saw, this doesn't ring or anything. But when you know the truth, you will discover that the topic is stranger and more impressive than if it was a century, so he said. The thing that looks like this horn is actually a tusk of ivory. Yes, fangs, but long 2 or 3 pills. At the tip of the upper jaw of the unicorn whale, there is a pair of teeth. The northern tooth always grows in the form of a tusk or a sword, and it keeps getting bigger until it reaches a length of 2 meters or 3 full meters. You will say, well, what is so strange about him having a long tusk protruding from his mouth? Aren't many other animals of the same story? Yes, there are other animals that have fangs that grow to the point that they protrude from outside the mouth, like a silver animal, for example. But the strange thing about the unicorn whale is that its tusk protrudes from the mouth and is straight. All the animals in the world that have this type of protruding fangs always have curved fangs. Except the unicorn whale is the only one with a fangs in the whole world that protrudes from the mouth and yet straight, not curved, as if you are talking about a sword, not a tusk. Add to that it is also one of the few fangs in the animal world that takes a spiral shape, or if not in it, this tube grows in a spiral structure opposite to its direction around the claw, and the unseen is that this pipe is flexible and can be bent in a small percentage in any direction. without breaking, and what is more surprising is that in some very rare cases, maybe the years above the north and the right will grow together. The whale still has two protruding tusks that are 6 meters long together. And for many years this prophet was a mystery to scientists and researchers because they were not able to determine its nature or the real purpose of it. I mean, at first glance when you see the picture, you'll think that the uses of this tusk in that he takes advice, for example, or kisses prey through it before he eats them. But this is not true at all and not even logical. I guess that the unicorn whale struck a fish with its horn. Or his sword, I mean. Do you think he'll know how to eat it after that? The animal will be stuck in the fangs, and at that time he will not know how to eat it. You won't even know how to get him out of it again. God, but what is the use of this long tusk? Everything you can think of, ideas or suggestions that have already been made over the years. In the one who told you that he regulates the temperature of the whale, and in what he told you is a weapon to repel predators about him. In another opinion, he said it was an acoustic probe to detect sounds in the ocean, and there are those who told you no, this is a tool with which he digs the snowy surfaces that are spread in the areas where he lives. We're done with suggestions, no. Another one told you that its goal is to fight animals with each other, to exhale people, or even just to show off. Like, how long is the profit? To answer this riddle, a huge international cooperation was formed in 2000 to discover the purpose of the whale tusk under the name of Rhinoceros Whale Tusk Search. But imagine that the research that we are working on, this cooperation involved 27 different institutions with more than 48 different worlds. Among them are scientists, researchers in zoology and scientists in marine biology, dentists, orthopedic surgeons, and others. The most prominent results they reached were as follows. First of all, and although the whale is of the category of toothed whales, but in reality he only has a pair of teeth. I mean, if you open your mouth you will find only one tooth other than the one that is already protruding from it, and his diet depends mainly on squid or shrimp that is like jambali. In addition to the halibut, flounder, and all of which are swallowed at once without any chewing. Second, these pair of teeth are horizontal, not vertical. In the Zakor, one is waiting outside of the upper lip in this strange way, and the second year will stay as it is. As for humans, it is rare for the tooth to grow in this way, and if it happens it will not be the same size as the tusks. So if this fangs has a role in saving the animal, whether by using it in hunting or self-defense, so it would have been there for people as it is for the Zakor. Thirdly, this par's fang is closer to being a piece of leather. This is because it contains sensory nerve endings, a trait that is not found in other sadistic teeth, who when she is sick. In fact, the tooth itself is inverted, which means it is basically built from the inside out. I mean, unlike our teeth like this tooth is soft from the outside, and every time we enter the inner layers it is denser and harder. This means that these fangs are very sensitive and not qualified to be used as a weapon either in attack or defense situations, but this also does not prevent the Zakor from using it to highlight between them during their fights with people. In fact, they actually use it to attract people sometimes. Save the research and discover that this tusk can sense changes in the salinity of the water, in a sign that it is closer to a giant sensor. I mean, you can say that they are sensor horns in this type of whale. And despite all the studies and results that have appeared to light until today, however, a large number of scientists see that the mystery of the unicorn whale's tusk, it still hasn't been solved once and for all, and that we may discover more about him in the future. But imagine that we are in the 21st century and the results are still not enough among the scientific community to fully understand this animal. What do you think about people's view of sharpness in ancient times, especially with the spread of rhino legends and the magical and therapeutic abilities of the horn? Hunting this type of whale goes back hundreds of years. The Vikings even benefited in their trade from the legends of the rhinoceros and the magical abilities of its horn. The Vikings used to hunt these types of whales and sell their corms to Europeans as the horns of the legendary rhinoceros. It was one of the prevailing beliefs in the Middle Ages. Any cup made of this horn protects the person who drinks from it, and that it is impossible to be poisoned because this cup will invalidate any poison. Although the international community and animal welfare organizations have tightened the noose on whale hunting, however, The Inuit or Eskimos are still used to mastering themselves and benefiting from their fangs and skins. On the other hand, climate change and the increase in the movement of ships and boats in the areas where they live, it gradually affected their numbers. Their costumes, like most whales, are used to communicating through sounds. Other than their reliance on the sailor for navigation and the increase in noise as the result of ships and others, it forces them out of large parts of their natural environment. And also because their movement is usually in groups of 15 to 20 people. This sometimes makes them get stuck in the ice belts spread in their areas, and then they will be an easy victim of the Inuit thugs, or even for the polar tank and the bounty animals. But despite this, the rhinoceros whale still maintains its numbers far from the danger of extinction, and they still keep most of their secrets from the world, except that the legend can remain true, and that this whale is indeed a unicorn of the sea. Since a certain day on the world when we were young, and we were always told that the bird is a bird in the sky, and the fish in the water, and the milk in the cow, and the dry on the tree. And this is a fact, no one is like that. Just one moment. Why is that fish but in the air? We are impressed that these fish are sold in the water. What about these people you do? Are de tour and a coin with fish in it? The truth is that you see them flying in front of you over these hundreds. They are not a tour or anything. These are a special type of fish of the exocetid family, famous among people as flying fish. And the inflated name that we said is a Greek word that means sleeping outside, because the ancient Greeks, when they used to see this fish fly out of the water and jump on their buttocks, they thought she was out of the water, so that you sleep and come back again after that. A plan with the utmost zakat. But the truth is that they don't sleep outside the water. They don't even fly in the first place. I mean, these are brave fish, and what? They don't even have 2 breaths to breathe with outside the water. These fish with gills are normal like your name. Same system. Why is it left? Why are these slave fish out of water in the first place, when he's going to die outside her? The reason behind these fish coming out of the water is the difficulty of the competition they face in surviving under the seas and oceans in which they live. The flying fish is one of the fish that is medium in size. They range in length from 17 to 30 centimeters. This means that they are part of the food chain of most types of fish that are bigger than them in size, like the fish of Busef, squid, tuna, and many others. And that's why God Almighty loved them with distinctive physical qualities that help them fight against predators, and these most important qualities are the fin that they have. Flying fish, when facing any predator, let it be a tuna fish that is loose behind them, they go and push themselves out of the water at a speed exceeding 56 kilometers per hour, and a big trend like this with their small size and lightweight that does not exceed 900 grams. You let them rise above the surface of the water by a distance that sometimes reaches a meter and a half, and once you reach this height, its broad, hard fin resembles the wings of a bird. It helps her stay in the air for a distance of 2 full meters. And if the day she made this shot there was a little strong wind, the distance can be 400 meters. But this way, although it really helps her, that she is running away from predators in the water, but it exposes it to other risks, the biggest of which is lack of oxygen. And if we assume that the oxygen is complete with it normal, the birds that stand up waiting for tomorrow will not have mercy. And that's why you have to fly fish. It comes down every little while the water comes down a couple of seconds, and then you come out and jump again. And sometimes you use this for her only, which looks like this for an airplane, to gain the speed she wants. You hit it on the surface of the water, so it rises up again, and its thin retracted body reduces the pulling force, and it makes it easier for her to rush in the air. But because of this oxygen issue, the maximum time a flying fish can sit in the air, she is 45 years old. It is worth mentioning that it is the method of rushing and flying in the air not only a means you use for plain fish to escape from predators, sometimes it's even a way to attract your partner in the mating season. In late spring and early summer, flying fish begin to gather in numbers reaching millions near the surface of the water, and they prefer to jump and do what they want to haphazard. They show their ability in front of the brides, and this party can continue for 2 hours continuously. And after the female finds the right male, they move to the stage of laying eggs, which are in batches ranging from 200 to 4,000 eggs. The female places them near the surface of the water, and often they are on a leaf or sea milking. or putting floating boats on the face of water or anything like that. And because eggs are sticky and bonded together with sticky bristles, so the lady can stick it to anything easily, so that after that the memory comes and concerns him with eggs. And if these eggs are destined to survive the birds in the air and the fish in the water, whether they were the same type or another type, the acts happens 4 days after the fertilization process, and then an army of small fish comes out and they prefer to swim in the first days near the surface of the water, and these fish prefer to feed on plankton away from the predators that fill the bottom, and their size and the shape of their fins are like a leaf on the surface of the sea. And this makes the birds not take care of them too much, and they can in this way to count their first days in peace until they grow up and can live like the rest of the fish. And this type of fish can be broken 3 to 4 times in one season, and this is proof that they have a very high reproductive capacity, and so they can keep their numbers stable, despite the dangers and the difficulty of life they face, and sometimes their ages reach 5 years. If we look at the shape of the flying fish from outside, we will find that not all of them are the same shape or size or even color, and this is because they are not 1 or 2 types. These are more than 64 types apart from each other. The most famous of all is the blue flying fish, known as tropical fish. This fish is spread on a very wide pronunciation in all seas and tropical and subtropical stations. As well, it is concentrated in large numbers in the Caribbean Sea in the western part of the continuous Eternal Sea, and what distinguishes this type is the super blue color, who covers her body from above from the beginning of the head to the tail, and the lower part of the body remains shiny silver. And the most striking thing in the shape of the fish is the wide pectoral fins that it has, which is completely transparent. And this is not the only type that has these distinctive fins. This is a name that is widespread among many types. Each type of them has its own jaspia, for example, the black-winged fish, and this is as important from its name. This is the most distinctive thing. Black fins that resemble butterfly wings. This is other than there are other types of this flying fish. She still has a couple of fins. I mean as if she has 4 wings, and that's why they call it the 4-winged fish. Although all of these species are almost the same size, but the largest species ever discovered, it's the California flying fish, which reaches 45 centimeters in length. Although some types of flying fish, they are stationed in large numbers in certain areas, as we said a little while ago, but it is one of the migratory fish, and they can travel hundreds of kilometers every year, either for the purpose of mating or they change the climate. They summer and other times they migrate to go to an area where there is plenty of food. Flying fish are the national symbol of the state of Barbados, and because of them the land of the flying fish was named. I think there is no more than Jeddah proof that they are there a lot, to the extent that they have this fish on their passport and on the statues and on the coin of the country too. Although some people trade them as ornamental fish, but they don't work ornamental fish. That's it. That other than fish, it needs to live in large areas. You are sure you will not get a flying fish to put a meter in half a meter and you get used to watching it in the water as in the air. Where will it fly? But on the other hand, there are other people who buy them for another purpose, which is food. And guess who's going to do this? In East Asian populations, flying fish is a staple of the diet of the Dao people of Taiwan's Orchid Island. And they say that it tastes close to the taste of sardines. It is also found in Japanese cuisine in the form of dried fish, and not only this type of fish that is very popular in Asian cuisine, this is also his eggs. They use it in one of the most famous types of sushi in Japan, which is tobiko. As a result of the interest of some people in this type of fish plus the interest of fishermen, and consider that fish is a profitable trade, and they started to get sophisticated in his methods of repelling in order to catch as much of it as possible. And one of these methods is to use light. It is known that flying fish can be attracted to any light source, even if this light is from outside the water. The reason for this is due to their diet, which depends heavily on plankton, and because plankton by nature are attracted to light, so any place with light is open buffet. And that's why the flying fish, when it sees any light, he goes and takes his teeth and looks at him. The fishermen told you, okay, we will take advantage of this instinct that they have and make them a prank of their lives. They're literally old this time. We light up the boat and they come to the boat, honored, and we take them, knowing that some types of flying fish, they live at depths of up to 200 meters below sea level, but they still go up to the boats themselves so that the fisherman collides while standing. Although this birdfish is harvested annually in huge numbers, However, their numbers remain quite stable according to reports by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN. Most of the species of this fish have no danger of being bitten. Although it is widespread in tropical waters and is common almost all over the world, although it was described for the first time in more than 200 years, but the manta-ray fish was strange to marine biologists. And after the most important information that we knew about it was discovered at the beginning of the new millennium, after a limited group of scientists and researchers fell in love with her. A strange fish. When you look at it underwater, you feel like you are watching a spaceship. And when you see it flying over the water, you feel that you are watching a strange bird flapping its wings. Welcome to you. I am Omar Abdin. In this episode we will talk about manta-ray, the sea devil. And before we start, if you are still new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell so that you get our videos one by one. There is no doubt that the flag of the sea includes some of the strangest creatures that we can see. And the manta-ray, or the sea devil, is one of the strangest of them ever. This strange quality of fish is part of the raíz rosette, which represents the largest group among the gastrophia fish, with more than 600 different species distributed in 26 families. And the quadrufia fish are the fish that have no bones at all, but they have internal structures that are made up of flexible, strong cartilage like sharks. And this is what makes some people describe irrigation as a flat penny. All the president's fish are characterized by flat depressions with burlap and water on the bellies, distributed in a huge waistcoat similar to wings, and really when you see it moving in the water you feel that it is like the movement of a bird, not a normal fish, especially since she looks like she is flapping her wing. And this of course prevents her from flying in the air. Really, the president's fish jump from the water to distances sometimes reach 2 full meters and flutter their wings to my feet in the air before they go down in the water again. And the president has thin jewels that are in some types armed with a sharp fork, and sometimes it is also a characteristic of self-defense, like the group of Rucaida or stingray. The manta-ray is the largest species of rice ever. On average, the distance between his fin reaches 5 meters, with a weight of a full belly. As for the secret behind its name, we will find that the word manta, which distinguishes this type of fish, it means in Spanish the abaya, in reference to the shape of her flattened and huge body. As for its common name, which is the sea devil, this stems from the presence of 2 vertical fins protruding from them in the shape of horns, and with these strange specifications in addition to the body that is swollen and fins that work like wings, we find ourselves in front of one of the strangest sea creatures in shape. And the strange thing is that despite its strange and curious shape, the history of its head was first revisited and scientifically described in 1798. However, there was very little information about it, and the simplest proof of this is that scientists have been sitting for tens of hundreds of years. They believe that there is only one type of manta-ray, and in 2008, 210 years after it was first described, researchers discovered that there are 2 types of manta-ray, not one type. Coral reefs tend to be located near coasts in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. At the time when the giant ocean is in it, it is in all the major oceans of the world and spends most of her life away from land and coasts in general, while the distance between the fins of the reef, it reaches an average of 4 full rains. But the ocean is the ocean of elegance. Maybe the distance between her fins reach when it approaches between 9 rains. And to understand the exact number, and it is a single fin whose distance is estimated to be the height of a building of 3 floors, and its weight reaches approximately 1,350 kilograms. And one of the strange and distinctive things in the ricefish, the marks on their stomach from under a coin are like the imprint of boyhood in humans. There is no one of them that looks exactly like the other. In fact, this story helps some scientists track them without the need to put devices on them. Some scientists have sent messages to divers around the world. They photograph any mantra they accepted, and sometimes the pictures that used to come from the divers, it used to be for the same individual with the same marks on his body from different places in the world. One of the special things about irrigation fishes, they are used to making regular visits to clean stations. It is a specific spot in the coral reefs and others. There are small fish that look at them and take the optimism from them. Despite its huge size, scary shape, and common name, which gives you the right that it is one of the scary predators in the deep sea, but in reality she is very Muslim to the extent that the divers take the opportunity when they see them in the water and get close to them and play with them, and the diet of the mentary has nothing to do with hunting or predation in its known sense. This type of fish depends for its food on small fish, plankton and crustaceans like krill. And krill is something that works like jambari, and their way of getting food is represented in their movement towards eating, and their mouth is open to the sea, but that perhaps the only thing that is special about their way of getting food that indicates there's a cat. Sometimes they move behind each other in a circle around the krill to create something similar to the impact of a hurricane and trap the krill inside before they start eating them. And the truth is that this smart movement is not a coincidence. Researchers confirmed that between all types of fish, Reese has the largest brain compared to her body size ever. So much so that my manta brain is 10 times bigger than the brain of whale sprinkles, which is considered the biggest type of arch in the world. And this shredder can reach 10 reins and its weight can reach 20 tons. Sheila Ariam and the Dara of the Pacific Manta Organization, she stated that studying her brain and the behavior of the manta proved that her brain has sufficiently developed parts in terms of intelligence, vision and motor coordination. She also confirmed that the tests that were performed on them, it indicates the possibility of their ability to recognize themselves in the mirror, which is considered a very unique trait in the animal world, and a very limited number of animals that he can do, which is an indicator and an indication of self-awareness. But her smartness does not mean that she is honest from the oppression of human beings. Hunters in different parts of the world, especially in India, Indonesia and Sri Lanka, they used to hunt these gentle giants in order to get their cartilage, which is included in traditional medicine in some countries. Foremost among them are China's spies. And what remains is their beliefs and the myths that they deal with between them and each other. It increases blood circulation in the body and leads to the improvement of some sexual things. And this is the reason why humans have killed many animals throughout history. They even thought it could cure smallpox and other diseases. And this is contrary to the fact that some people see that its meat is delicious, and the number of deaths from the mantries annually reaches thousands, and the profits of trading in it can be estimated at $30 million annually. This is in addition to the fact that sometimes it dies as a result of getting stuck in fishing nets, and sometimes accidents happen to it from hosting ships while it is on the surface of the water, although its age in the wild is estimated to be about 20 years. But this type of fish, without human intervention, it doesn't reproduce at a high rate. And the last one is born or two every year, and sometimes also every couple of years. Their unfair repulsion rates have unfortunately placed them in a vulnerable category, and this means that if the situation continues like this, you can visit the mantry in the future in college. And this is what prompted a number of countries to enter into an agreement under the umbrella of the United Nations for the Protection of Mantry in 2014. The Indonesian government decided to ban the fishing and trade of mantry in college, and it is by the way the largest market for catching and selling this type of fish. And the strange thing is that the goal of their decision was not to preserve the animal itself, as long as maintaining their economy and increasing tourism income in the country, because after the study Saturday that the return from the tourist side of the fish is the unit from the mantry. By diving with her and playing with her and filming with her in this talk throughout her life, it can give an income estimated at about $1 million, while when it is killed its price is only about $500 for others. I mean, killing her deprives the country of an income estimated at $1 million except $500, knowing that at this rate it can be approached in the end in the first place, and then there will be no 500 or a million left, and in the end not necessarily every huge thing is scary. Owl mantry is one of the most beautiful creatures in the world of the sea. Yet it is one of the gentle giants, and not everything in which the soul is eaten by many wild and marine animals that God Almighty allowed us to eat them without any harm, neither on us nor on them. And the problem is that the main goal of waking her up has nothing to do with food. This is related to folk myths and traditional medicine. Perhaps the global crisis we are living now, people get out of the absence of their home and stop eating anything around them, bitter for themselves and bitter for the rest of humanity, and pass because of innocent animals, which does not represent any harm to the human. I think we all agree that dolphins are attractive, funny and smart creatures too, and remarkably famous. For a long time she likes to get rid of humans, and some consider it the best friend of man in marine science, and this may be the reason for her always smiling face, or her playful behavior and acrobatic action, or helping humans sometimes. And compared to the shape we are familiar with the dolphin, it might be hard to believe that the creature in front of you is also a dolphin. But does this dolphin often different from the rest of the dolphin in its shape only, nor does it differ in nature? Or will he keep our impression of the dolphin, and he won't show us the dark side of them? Dolphin Irrawaddy dolphin has a unique appearance, and it's very easy to distinguish it from the rest of the dolphins because his body is different from the famous dolphin stereotype, and the most important thing that distinguishes him from them is his lack of the long beak at the front of the head, which is closer in structure to the shape of an orca or a killer whale. Add to that his round head and huge forehead, which extends to the mouth and which is very similar to his head, the face of white whales. An Irrawaddy dolphin has small, smooth-shaped dorsal fins located at the end of the back, which is also completely different from what is found in the other dolphins that are familiar to us. In addition, also because he has wide pectoral fins that also look smooth, and the dolphin color radiant from blue gray at the back to a lighter color on the side of the abdomen and the back of the back, and his body lacks the famous shine of the dolphin, and because his control is very flexible and he can move it in all directions, he has clear wrinkles in the censorship. And the Irrawaddy dolphin has pointed teeth. It looks like a peg about 1 centimeter long, present in the upper and lower jaws. There are 12 to 19 teeth on each side of the jaws. The average weight of an adult dolphin ranges from 130 kilograms to 200 kilograms, and its length ranges from 150 centimeters to 280 centimeters. His average life in the wild is about 30 years. And this type of dolphin has different physical characteristics between males and humans. Humans are shorter and way lighter than males, and the dorsal fin is smaller in humans than in males. This Irrawaddy dolphin is found in tropical and subtropical waters. It is usually found in the Indian and Pacific Oceans in South and East Asia, and the strange thing is that this dolphin likes to live in shallow coastal waters and near it, and he does not stay in deep water or venture away from the shore. And most of the observations that were observed in it are far from the coast. It was after not exceeding 600 meters. And not only that, this dolphin also inhabits the coasts and rivers, and estuaries, deltas, and large lakes. Although they are listed as one of the 5th species of river dolphins, but they are not river dolphins or anything. It's just that they have a wide salt range. I mean, they can adapt it to salinity changes by a large percentage. From the end, they can live in the water and salt water. Although Irrawaddy dolphins need to breathe every minute or two, but they rarely get their whole body out of the water like other dolphins. And instead of that, she gets her head out but takes 2 breaths and comes back to compete again, and she can log herself underwater more than 12 full dials if necessary. And the Irrawaddy dolphin is usually not the kind that attracts attention, and we don't show fun behavior or hit the water with a slap on top, except for a movement that he does like this, which is that he pours water from his mouth to a distance that can reach a meter, and this movement this dolphin loves to do it very much. In general, the Irrawaddy dolphin is considered the least active of all dolphin species. Something like this is like a benda animal but in water. Despite his laziness, Irrawaddy is a very social dolphin. It usually lives in small groups of 2 to 6 people, and sometimes they can reach 15 people. And dolphin Irrawaddy is not only social with the members of her groups, but social with other groups as well. Irrawaddy dolphin is a carnivorous animal. Their usual diet includes fish, cephalopods, and crustaceans. But the problem facing the dolphin is that it is very slow in movement, even if it is at risk. Its speed does not exceed 25 kilometers per hour, so that he can get a decent meal. He takes advantage of the characteristic that he is a social creature, and when he comes to hunt, they gather in large numbers that can reach 25 people, and they use a cooperative strategy in hunting. And here the strange behavior of watering that we talked about appears. They do this to attract large numbers of fish and fado, and after that they surround them with happiness and healing. One of the strangest things you might hear about the Irrawaddy dolphin is that in some parts of Asia, it cooperates with local fishermen on the coast of Myanmar. The intelligent Irrawaddy dolphin has learned to fish amazingly in cooperation with the fishermen who live there, and this strange phenomenon in which communication between dolphins and fishermen is done through signals, or they make certain sounds by the line of the wood on the edge of the boat. Quickly the dolphins gather around the boat and they swim in a smaller and smaller semicircle until they confine groups of fish to one place toward the surface, and once they do that, disturbance happens and the fish are scattered in the water towards the surface, and here the dolphin gives a signal to the fishermen, "Come on boss, get down on the net." The day the fishermen go down to the net and finish the fish. In fact, this type of dolphin is because of its enthusiasm for this fishing. He goes to the fishermen's boats and pours water on him to wake them up from dawn and start hunting. You will tell me what the dolphins benefit from this conversation, and what made her tire herself like this. I will tell you, although dolphins are pet and cooperative creatures by nature, but the one who encourages her more, they get aside from love. Dolphins feed on fish temporarily trapped at the edges of the net. A fisherman's net makes it easier for the dolphin to graze while standing in its place without turning and finding behind the fish. In this way the fishermen come out in the shape of a big fish and the dolphin eats when the fishermen raise the nets. Dolphin Irrawaddy begins his married life at the age of 7, and some sources said that he is 4 years old. Because this type of dolphin lives in small groups, mating often happens from outside the group. The mating season is usually in December and June, and the gestation period takes about 14 months. Then the lady gives birth to one calf. His birth weight is 10 kilograms. And deter the mother from her youth for 2 years before weaning, and in the first 6 months of their lives they rely on breastfeeding only from the mother. Then they start eating fish next to the bottle, and they learn to hunt by imitating the behavior of their mothers. And after the weaning period they depend on themselves completely. Other than humans, there are no known natural predators for the Irrawaddy dolphin, but humans are responsible for a large number of deaths, and because these dolphins live closer to the land than other species, so you are more at risk of extinction due to human activity. The main cause of death in the Irrawaddy dolphin is accidental hunting. And what happens when the window is thrown in the water and is spent for long periods without concern? Dolphins get entangled in it while traveling or chasing names, and if you deliver the dolphin from the net, you will face severe food shortages as a result of overfishing on the beaches, and you also have the mercury pollution that comes from the illegal gold mines, in addition to the fertilizers that come from the farms and the industrial waste that comes out of the factories. And this is all because the Irrawaddy dolphin, as we said, lives close to the shore as a result of all these threats. In 2017, the Association for the Conservation of the Wild in Action Plan outlines the steps and procedures needed to maintain the remaining numbers, which includes the establishment of protected areas and net-free zones, and the government also increased the cost of these gill window permits to make this kind of fishing very expensive, so the fishermen start to avoid it and use other methods so that the dolphin is not bothered. In the end, the measures achieved positive results. The annual rate of births increased and the number of deaths decreased significantly, so that the future of dolphin Irrawaddy will change from a dark future to a bright future. Mola mola is known as the ocean sunfish or floating head. It's one of the weirdest fish you'll ever see in your life, and a real example of some sea creatures on Earth. Sometimes it's weirder than imagination, although she is one of the giants of the seas, but at the same time it looks like half a fish no more, as if the other half had disappeared or a predator had already devoured. The mola is the molar or the son of the ocean. She is the lowest bony fish. Not at all. And bony fish are the fish that have a structure that is constituent from a zom, unlike fish, cartilage. In most types of fish in the world they are indeed bony fish, like the pyramid and tuna, marlin fish and others. The number of species that reaches close to of 30,000 species. Despite of that there is no kind of them. He gets close to the weird weights, which reaches her the weight of mola mola. This giant fish sometimes weighs up to 2,500 kilograms. And helps her with this terrible weight throughout her life, which reaches an average of 10 years. Her appetite was open and she gained weight quickly. I mean, you find it in one day its weight increases a kilogram, and this is about the adults of the fish of mola mola, but the little ones can only weigh more than 22 kilograms. For 400 kilograms in 15 months I can't And there is another secret behind the topic of the strange weight of the fish of the mola. Although it is a bony fish, however, its skeleton contains a large percentage of cartilage tissue, which is what allows it to grow to these large sizes, compared to other bony fish. As for the names known by the fish, so we will find that the word mola in Latin, it means the milestones or the stone of the souls. It is a type of stone used to grind various grains in grains. And the name here is a reference to its gray color and its round shape that it shares with the nomadic stone. Mola fish are found in warm and tropical waters all over the world. And in case the water is not warm enough, the mola gets used to going up to the roof and warming herself with a warm sunbathe. Hence the name of the ocean sunfish. And the rise of the mola to the surface of the water often leads to confusing it with sharks. And the reason for this is its fin, which is a protrusion on the surface of the water. The diet of mola fish relies mainly on jellyfish, along with large numbers of small fish and crustaceans. And the mola is one of the fish that I swam on a little bit and get used to moving slowly in the water. It reaches a maximum speed of 3.2 kilometers per hour. Although it has a very low speed, it allows it to propel itself out of the water for up to 3 meters in the air. And the fish of the mola live from the beginning of the surface of the water to a depth of up to 600 meters below the surface. Although they are not suitable for humans, they are very curious and are used to approaching divers in the ocean. Although the practices of marriage with the mola fish are still not fully understood, however, it is considered one of the most fertile vertebrate animals on Earth. People who are a mower are laying nearly 300 million eggs at a time. And the length of the small larva of the mola fish reaches only 2.5 millimeters to other. I mean something like that is like the head of a pin, and the weight of the larva is a part of the gram, not more. And this means that the one who lives from the larva of the mola is a mola. It grows until it reaches its size millions of times its original size. In the world of vertebrate animals, mola fish are the most extreme in their growth compared to their original size, by up to 60 million times its size the moment it comes out of life. And if you see that adult mola fish are strange in their shape, so he takes a deep breath and takes a look at the kids. The little ones are protected by a transparent cover in the shape of a star, and their shape then will be like puffed fish. Which, by the way, is really related between her and the fish of the mola. Although adult fish of this species are solitary in nature, however, the young are used to gathering in groups to protect themselves from predatory fish. And about its predators, we will find that the thick skin of the mola and its giant size, most medium and small fish are repelled. But its main predators are sharks and sea sharks. And of course the orca whale that does not search any sea creature from its diet. And if you want to know more about the orca the killer whale, you will find a separate episode on the channel. And from the strange issue regarding the predators of the mola fish, the sea goats, although they are known for mastering the mola to meet their needs of food. But if you follow the situations that bring them together, you feel that they are hunting the mola for both sides for themselves in the first place or out of sports, so they get used to tearing on in the mola, and they prefer to wrap around it and hit it from every direction without any response or resistance from the molefish, as if it were a game for the sea lion. And after they eat of it, how many people do they get bored or even bored? They let it collapse to the bottom of the ocean without help. No power. Some research suggests that mollusks don't have enough pain receptors, meaning that they don't feel this pain like the rest of the sea creatures. And this explains the reason behind their lack of reactions to the attack of animals on them. Sea lions and some other predators are observed during their attack on the mola. The Lord doesn't show any reaction on her or as if she is about to die or anything. Even when they are being from her body, she stays as if she is here. Okay, is this type of fish cooked normally or not? Ocean sunfish is one of the most delicious fish in some countries of the world, like Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, because some parts of it are used as a form of traditional therapy. But on the other side, we will find that there is a ban in the European Union countries to sell this type of fish or any of its products. The reason for this is that their entrails contain a percentage of toxins, but about the secret in its strange shape and what you feel when you see it. You are watching the head of a fish floating in the water without the rest of its body. This is due to the back fin that the fish is born with. This fin does not grow with it, but it folds in its body as the fish grows and takes on a shape similar to a rudder, and the mola fish can't close its mouth to the end, and it is always a little open. And its teeth are very strange, and the number reaches only 4 teeth for those who are not fused into a structure similar to a bee, and she has other pharyngeal teeth located inside the throat. And the length of the mola reaches 80 meters on average, but it is easy to find large objects that are 3 meters long. Its violence is about 2.5 meters, and with her flat body and her way of swimming, it's like someone pulling himself out in the water, so your fish is vulnerable always for the optimism that gets you in her body and which delivers their types for 40 different types. And the presence of this group of optimism on her body for long periods, it affects negatively on its health, but I wonder how. She cleans herself of these optimism. Although the mola is being invaded on small fish, but sometimes she invites them to clean her body, and you find it floating peacefully in the water, and the small fish are heading towards it and start getting rid of the optimism on it. And sometimes the mola fish comes to the surface of the water and leave the seabirds that are like seagulls. She does the cleaning job from her body. Finally, the mola uses a cinematic way to get rid of optimism by pushing itself above the surface of the water for a distance of up to 3 meters before you go down the surface of the water again to shake off the children from Maha's helpless. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature and its Resources classifies the molefish as a vulnerable fish. This is because she is exposed to a number of serious problems which affects its population in the ocean world. The first problem that the mola faces is the plastic bags. Mola fish rely on jellyfish in their diet, and the plastic bags that are made to our house are similar in shape and movement of the anadels. And from here the mola fish starts swallowing the bags. And sometimes it suffocates her or gets stuck in her digestive system and kills her slowly from inside. On the other hand, mola fish are usually caught in fishermen's nets as an unintentional accidental catch. Statistics show that in South Africa alone, approximately 340,000 mola are caught annually in fishing nets. And in California and in the United States of America, mola fish account for 29% of the catch caught in the net. And this is of course other than targeting it from fishermen in Japan and Taiwan for the purpose of trade. Based on high casual fishing rates, their numbers have decreased in some areas by up to 80%. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, sees that the population of mola fish has decreased in the last 30 years, up to 30% globally. Although the mola fish does not represent any danger to humans, however, its giant size sometimes leads to serious and strange problems at the same time. I mean, in some reports of accidents of mola fish jumping on the surface of the water, and instead of going down on the water you accidentally get down on a fishing boat, and of course with the huge weight of the mola it will be a disaster. In 1998, a strange incident occurred related to a giant mola fish. A giant cargo ship was loaded with cement near Sydney Harbour. Suddenly, a fish was embraced at the front of the ship. From the strength and enormity of the fish, the speed of the ship's movement in the water decreased from 14 knots to 11 knots. In fact, the fish's strong skin cheeked the ship's blade down to the metal, regardless of the simple problems that God can cause. So the master remains one of the most impressive fish that you can see in the world of the moor. Sharks are one of the most terrifying creatures on Earth. It has been at the top of the food chain and dominated the oceans for centuries of price. They played an important role in maintaining the ecological balance and control the numbers of the rest of the smaller fish. Studies have proven that the history of sharks on Earth goes back more than 400 million years. I mean before the appearance of dinosaurs by 200 million years. They went through medical disasters, climate change, and mass extinctions, and more than 500 species of them still live to this day, in different shapes and veils distributed on the seas of the world, and it is considered the largest type of them that exists now and the most abundant of them ever is. The shark Alhu. One day in 1828, the English doctor Andrew Smith was walking near the coast of South Africa. While watching the fishermen fishing in the middle of the sea, he noticed with one of the fishermen a very strange fish whose body is my flesh's color. It is 4 meters long and almost sucking, so the fisherman left immediately and asked to buy it from him for £7 alone, and he took the fish and brought it back to his country to study it, and there he discovered that it was a species of shark. No one in the scientific community knew that it existed before, and of course this made him excited and looking for this type all over the world to gather as much information as possible about him. A barrel that can be a full 20 meters long. I mean the height of a building consisting of 7 floors. It can weigh up to 20 tons. To be the biggest fish, the world's largest fish ever. And that's why it was called the whale arch, despite her enormous body size, which is characterized by the whalefish, and who might make you feel that she monsters roaming the sea. But we are lucky, and the good luck of most creatures. The Navy is not predatory creatures at all. They depend on in their invasion in a way. It is basic on small plankton and crustaceans like jambari. They rarely eat a little big fish like tuna or squid, but they even the way they eat, there is no form of predation. What we are used to in sharks is the whale shark. She has teeth in her jaw that help her cut fish, and that's why she uses, in eating, the method of suction infiltration. And this is the method that he doesn't sustain. There are only 3 species of trout in the whole world, and they are spraying, mega mouse, sunny arch, and arch hoodie. But can you imagine how many fish of this size will you eat per day? Not a kilo or 2, of course. You need at least 20 kilos of fish per day. And because you get this large amount of food during the day, you have to. She opens her huge mouth, which is about 1.5 meters wide, about 20 times a minute. I feel like she's trying to suck any secret in your name, small infectious or plankton that come in front of her. And as soon as these plankton enter, her mouth gets trapped in the small leather teeth in the pharynx, in the chisel plates, and you don't know how to come out again. And this area is from, its mouth is like an ostrich sieve. It has 3,000 years of visitors. Their length, it doesn't exceed 3 millimeters. All her job is to fix the food inside, fish bugs on what drains the water out. And this fish can filter more than 500 liters at a time. You own the whale shark. It smells very strong and helps it to determine where to eat instead of sight. And that's because her eyes are too small to help her see well. This is other than that her eyes. It is found on the flat corners of its head, unlike most sharks that her eyes are in the front of the head. And this makes it a little difficult to see for her. And since her eyes protruded a little from her body and in the side, it should mean that she is prone to injury or that she flounders easily. But the strange thing is that her eyes are rarely injured, and this topic has puzzled scientists for a long time, until they discovered that she can enter her eyes inside when she feels danger. But what was more surprising is that when they explained her eyes, they discovered that she does not have the third eye socket, known as the overlapping membrane, and the one that is with the rest of the sharks, all the ones that protect the eye socket instead of the eyelids. But if they are replaced by a layer of skin covered with very small teeth known as leather teeth. It was called teeth because their composition is similar to the formation of teeth, and they are small structures in the shape of a letter, and it made of ivory and covered with a layer of enamel, and these leather teeth cover the bodies of all kinds of sharks, including the whale shark, and its mission is to help the water flow quickly on their body to make it easier for them to move. In addition, of course, it gives solidity to their skin and protects them from injuries. And scientists and researchers have been trying for years to make diving hands and paints for ships inspired by these teeth because of their amazing nature. And for this, God Almighty covered the eyes of the small whale spray with it to protect it from injuries, so that she remains the only fish that has leather teeth on her eyes, since it is the most sprayed fish with its eyes prone to injuries. Also, one of the qualities that distinguish the whale spraying from other sprays is the white dot. that covers its entire body, and what we can consider as this is like the fingerprints of human beings. Each fish in them has different patterns from others, and it is impossible to find it repeated from one fish to the other, and these points sometimes are a way to hide under the water, and this is because their blue ash color mixes with the color of water and the color of the bottom, and the dots then appear as if they are mocking from the bottom mocks. As for the white part that covers the abdominal area, this makes anyone look at them from below. He doesn't see them well because of the light of the root. This feature is known as reverse slippage. The way he finds the whale spray his mating partner is a mystery that has no answer. Even the place where the mating process takes place, scientists and researchers have not been able to spot two whales mating not once. Even people disappear from sight completely during pregnancy, and they are born in secret places that we don't know a way to. The only time a pregnant woman was in 1995 on the Taiwanese coast, and we were able to know through it that the process of egg production, fertilization and eggs takes place inside the mother's womb, and the exit of the children is by birth. And the length of one fish at that time is between 55 to 65 years, and their counter is more than 300 fish. But only 10% of them can live because the nation leaves them immediately after birth. And because of their small size, of course, they are susceptible to eating fish that are bigger than them, and the whale shark reaches sexual propulsion when he is 30 years old, but this is not a big problem since their age can exceed 70 years. Whale sharks live on a very wide pronunciation in all the oceans and tropical and temperate seas. You like to swim in warm water with a temperature above 21 degrees Celsius, and despite their slow movement and their epilepsy that does not exceed 4 kilometers an hour, however, the industrial ages revealed that they can travel distances of up to 1,000 kilometers, and these migrations take them for long periods of time that reach years because of their very slow movement. It is famous that at the beginning of every spring they migrate to the west coast of Australia, which is considered one of the most places where the spraying of the hood is seen in large numbers. Although they can dive to depths of up to 1,900 meters below sea level, but they are usually close to the surface and they swim normally next to boats. And because they are friendly creatures and do not cause any harm to humans, they gained a lot of popularity among the people, and they have become part of the cultures of the peoples of some countries. For example, in the province of Bali Kokab in Indonesia, they call it Ursh Grandma, because they think he embodies the spirit of a good grandmother, and on the island of Java he is considered a sailor carrier, and when they see him they give him gifts and rice. In some places it is even considered a sacred animal, and the fishermen think that it brings them luck and expands their livelihood, and this is because there is always a group of fish that are smaller than him. But the truth is that these fish are only protected in it because his body is big and nothing more. But on the other side there are countries that pose a real danger to the life of the whale spraying, and in which this type of fish is being rehabilitated in huge quantities because of its economic amounts. This is because it is considered one of the finest types of meat in the countries of the Law of Asia. For example, you have Taiwan alone catches more than 100 whale sprays annually. This is in addition to that they use this spray liver oil to prevent water leakage to boats, and they shine shoes with it and treat skin diseases with it. In fact, their fin makes the most expensive food in the world with it. Unfortunately, all this led to their number reaching only 350 fish in the mid-80s in the whole world, and that's why some countries have started organizing recovery plans for whale spices and enacted laws criminalizing hunting and trading in it, to the extent that some countries have even banned touching him or taking pictures with him without a permit. The whale shark is still on the list of animals at high risk of extinction. Diversity is a fundamental characteristic of true creatures, and if we talk in terms of size, then we will find the size diversity in ABBA as a picture, from the beginning of the creature that is made up of one cell like bacteria, until the creature that reaches its weight of 200 tons. And by the way, not all huge animals are necessarily fierce, so you have for example the elephant and the scorpion, but despite this, huge creatures still have a share of protection and control in the environments in which they live, whether on land, at sea, or even in the air. Many people think that beavers are the biggest monkeys that exist. It is 80 centimeters long and weighs from 16 to 30 kilograms, but the truth is that the beaver is really the biggest monkey. But if we are going to talk about North America and Asia and Africa, but if we are going to talk on the world level, the beaver has a fierce competitor in the huge. The difference between them can reach weakness. This competitor is up to 140 centimeters tall and his height at the shoulder is 60 centimeters. Its weight ranges from 35 to 65 kilograms. And this creature is the capybara or water pig. The capybara occupies the first place in the world on monkeys from the huge size, and the capybara is considered one of the semi-aquatic sadists. He needs constant water to keep his dry skin hydrated, and this is because it has a long and brittle difference that makes its skin dry very quickly on the ground, and that's why you won't find it found except in areas that are abundant in water sources like the injured, the banks of rivers and the swamps, and along the streams in Central and South America. Despite his large size, he is a skilled swimmer and he can hide himself underwater for up to 5 minutes as a way to hide from predators. And the big one is considered one of the herbaceous creatures that invade aquatic plants and herbs, and to be able to save himself the amount of energy he needs to feed daily on an amount of up to 3 kilograms of plants. This is in addition to the fact that the big man is a social animal par excellence. He likes to live in groups of 10 to 40 people. Sometimes a group can reach 100 people. And maybe this is a normal thing and it is found in many animals, but what is not normal is what you see in front of you. The capybara has a strange friendship with other animals without his comma. Sometimes it is from anointing. From just looking at some of his pictures, you'll know how much he's a social creature. He's a worm. More than 6 meters and a half long, and a weight that reaches more than a ton. The saltwater crocodile occupies the title of the biggest farmer in the world with all merit. Saltwater crocodiles have very strong jaws in them from 64 to 80 deadly years. And if this is not scary enough, then you will also replace it with justification. And the length of these strong teeth can reach up to 13 centimeters. And what qualifies him to get a title as well as the creature that has the second strongest nook in the animal world ever after his relative the Nile crocodile, with a bite force of up to 16,400 N. Add to that his ability to hold his breath for long periods underwater. You can arrive for more than an hour. And this crocodile has the skill of repelling large wild nephews and even the fish of the fish themselves, and any creature is close enough to the water, and without warning the crocodile explodes from the water, and the prey doesn't catch up until it hides. You find yourself falling between the jaws of the crocodile, and in a few seconds you will be counting the dead. And this is what makes the saltwater crocodile the perfect predator. And on the mention of reptiles, we can't forget my biggest fears for children or even adults. Fatigue, without a doubt, terrifying creatures, and this is even if he is a little tired. How about if you see a giant tiger, specifically anaconda? Giant anaconda or green anaconda, it weighs about 250 kilograms. And its length ranges from 6 reins to 9 reins for people. As for the zecor, they are much smaller, and their average length is only 3 reins. The giant anaconda lives in swamps and streams in the tropical rainforests of South America, and it is attacked on the nice wild boars. We have talked about it for a while, and deer, birds, turtles, and even some types of anointing. And the amazing thing is that in Canada it is not a feature. Her powerful weapon is that she wraps around the prey and presses it until it strangles it. The anaconda has 4 rows of teeth in its upper jaw. They help her catch the prey and swallow it. Its jaw allows it to swallow prey completely regardless of its size. And you can sit in Canada for weeks or even months without eating. And if he sees that it is not suitable enough, let me tell you that anaconda can also invade another anaconda of its own species. The anaconda, for example, can be invaded by the thacker. And this act of treachery usually happens in the mating season, and the reason for this may be due to the big difference in size between them. The number of insects on the surface of the earth is it exceeds the number of humans by 200 million for one. Every human being among us lives in front of him on Earth 200 million insects. But if all the insects were the size of a giant beetle or the titan beetle, we would have been in big trouble. From the mercy of pride, and most insects are very small, with an average size of 3 milliliters to 20 ml, but not all insects are this size. The giant beetle is the undisputed giant of the insect world. It reaches 17 centimeters in length, and the amazing thing is that despite its huge size it can fly. But first you must climb on a high roof to go through it. And this beetle has sharp claws and a strong jaw that can divide the pain of bullets in two halves, but she usually restores them in self-defense, and that's because it's not really predatory. She doesn't eat at all. And this is what makes her one of the most amazing creatures in the wild. This insect lives in its adult form for a very short period of time. It can only be about a few weeks. All the food and energy you need to move and fly during this period, you will have already got it in the period when you are promoted. And the few weeks that you live are enough to mate and have children. And then the parents die without taking care of the children or even seeing them. And this insect, because of its very short life, it is very difficult to originate for it. In fact, until now she has not been able to find her sparks, and the researchers think that these larvae are located in underground places, and it is eaten on the decaying wood at the bottom until it reaches the pure stage. And that's why this strange insect is in danger of extinction, because of the attempts to look for her in the middle of her hand. And if you were surprised why is there anyone looking for an insect like this in the first place, the answer is that it is tracked on the black market for about $400 if we enter the world of crustaceans. The Japanese spider crab is the largest of the 60,000 species of crustaceans that are on the surface of the earth. This crab weighs about 19 kilograms and has 8 feet. And the class distance between them reaches 4 meters, and his front implants are shorter than feet, and they are the ones who open the snails with them to feed on them. And this crab may look from its huge shape that it is fierce, but in fact it is very nice and harmless, to the extent that it only invades plants, algae, or already dead animals. Sometimes it can feed on small live fish and crustaceans, but in a very small percentage, and the Japanese spider crab is not only the biggest crab, but its life spans a century. And it is found in the Pacific Ocean on the Japanese islands, at depths that go from 50 meters to 500 meters below sea level. And this crab is considered one of the delicious foods in Japan, but hunting is prohibited during the mating season, to allow him to increase his numbers again. The closing point is the blue whale, the most powerful creature living on our planet without dispute. And if we talk in the language of numbers, you will hear numbers you have never heard of before. This whale surpasses dinosaurs of any size. Its length reaches 30 meters, its weight exceeds 130 tons and can sometimes reach 200 tons. I mean, this whale, while standing like this, is the height of a 10-story building. And what is even more surprising is that his only tongue weighed in it for African forests. As for the little ones of the blue whale, it is not right that we call them young in the first place. They are born with a length of about 8 reins and a weight of 3 tons. During the first year of their lives, they increase 100 kilograms per day, daily. And this blue giant is characterized by a wide head, huge fins, and a very strong tail. And it is found in all oceans except the North Pole. Despite its huge size, however, whales usually feed on small junbali-like crustaceans called krill. And if you are surprised how can he get full of this krill, I will tell you that it can be fed daily on about 40 million krill, which is estimated at about 4 to 80 tons a day. And the blue squirrel is one of the Balinese whales that have plates of baleen instead of teeth, and it is a fibrous material that works like a filter. Like this, it filters krill from water. Blue elephant swallows huge amount of water filled with krill, then he pays the water with his tongue and outside. So she goes out through these baleen plates and leaves behind her a prisoner of krill, and with happiness and healing. Most of us, when we talk about zakat, we think that it is a trait that characterizes the human mind only, and this is because we always look at intelligence from the perspective of human beings, and even when we don't measure the level of intelligence in another creature, we measure it based on our abilities. And as long as no dog knows 2 by 5 how much, and we have never seen a reading that explains physics, then there is no akut of this is more watery than us. Here, if we look at the definition of zakat, we will find destiny for learning and applying knowledge, and dealing with problems and solving them. And since these standards differ according to the environment and the difference of type as well, so we can't put fixed tests to measure the level of intelligence that is suitable for all creatures. That's why until today, Scientists are not able to be sure who is the most beautiful animal in the world, but this does not prevent that there are animals that are much more watered than wounded. These are one of the signs of the Almighty in the earth. The more we are impressed by them. With research and experiments, scientists discovered that bees are one of the most watered insects in the world. If they didn't water them at all, for example, if we look at most of the insects, we will find that they don't have enough awareness. That makes them separate from the safe place and the dangerous place. Let's take the jobbers as a question. We will find the bear when you get away from the racket and you try to kill it. You turn around and come back to stand on your shoulder again. That she was going to die on 110 seconds ago, but the bees are otherwise. The researchers did an experiment that made a group of bees attack them by a spider while landing on a particular type of flower. Then they showed them the same flowers but without the spider. The result was that the bees were not satisfied with the flowers despite the absence of the stings. This means that bees are aware of the threat and feel anxious. And also this awareness is transmitted to the rest of the bees in the group even if they did not see the spider, and this means that bees can also learn by watching. And so that the researchers can make sure of this information, take a bee from the colony and train it in a few steps to reach the nectar, and they brought her back among her friends, and after a while they found the whole colony doing the same steps without anyone training them. And to make sure if the bees imitate their blindness or not, take the same bee again and force it to take other less efficient steps. The surprise was that the bee he was watching did not try to imitate it, and they preferred to follow the easier way. And this shows that the bee thinks and knows how to invent solutions to problems. He doesn't imitate, and that's it. And one of the amazing things is that the bees know how to count. The researchers also brought a bee and let it fly in a corridor. It has similar signs, and at the end of it is a sugary substance that the bees love, and let it exceed 3 marks and then the reward arrives. And after that they increased the marks and made the reward a little farther away. The surprise was that the bee was standing after the 3rd sign and waiting for its reward. And when they tried to keep the 3 signs apart, they found it also stopping at the 3rd sign. This means that she was relying on the number of marks, not the distance you travel. And what is more amazing is that the researchers did another experiment. They brought a group of bees in it. They showed them a paper drawn with soda drops in it. The more these points were small, the bigger the reward for the bees. Accordingly, the bees always chose the least number of points. They also specified that the paper that has no points, their reward will be higher than others. And of the things the researchers consider as a sign of intelligence is the ability to use tools. And in an experiment, they brought a bee that they locked up with a small ball. Even if the bee didn't do it with this ball as food or a house or even a woman can mate with it. And this is like most insects do. A bee considered it a way of entertainment, and she kept laughing at you in it from time to time, as if she is bored like we are crushing. From the midst of all the different types of birds, the West was destined to attract the attention of the scientific community with its dazzling intelligence, which is almost equivalent to the intelligence of a 7-year-old child, and this is based on many tests and experiments that I did for him. One of the tests that the crows excelled in is the counting test. And in it they brought the crows and showed them to a circle drawn with dots with different veils, and they are supposed to memorize the shape of this circle in order to increase the reward. And really the crows were able from the middle of many circles. It chooses the district with the required number of points, and this is despite the size of the points, and the choices was different from the original shape. And this means that they also choose based on the count, not the shape. In fact, crows are excellent at using tools. And they can also invent tools from anything around them. In the wild, for example, you can find a crow holding a wire or a small tree branch. She brings food with it from the bad places, or they throw nuts on the highways, because when the cars pass over them they break the shell for them. And some researchers did a test in which they brought a crow and put food inside a cup of water and next to it some bricks, and they discovered that the crow takes the bricks and throws them inside the cup so that the water level rises and he can pick up the food with his beak. And the amazing thing is that they also burn more than here in saving human faces. They even know how to differentiate from the good and the bad too, and they never forget any creature that hurt them or if a member of their group. In addition to also because they know how to describe some in their own language. The characteristics of this person so that if someone saw him he would be remorseful to him immediately. And this talk is walking between them and each other too. I mean if there is a crow in a working day but in the middle of them, they rule him and punish him according to his crime. If a crow, for example, demolished another crow's nest, they force it to build another nest. And if the food is the little crow's, pluck his feather because he doesn't know how to fly like the little ones, and if he assaults a person who doesn't belong to him, they sentence him to death and kill him. According to all this, the researchers noticed that if there is a crow that stores food in a place, and he felt that there is another crow that he saw while he was eating, he goes to the food cache under his wing and acts as if he is rotting, and then he goes to hide it somewhere else. But sometimes the crow that has his neck turns out to be a wise man too, and he knows that it is a job, and he stays behind it until he knows the new place. Until recently, there was a widespread belief in the scientific communities a cat is related to the size of the brain. The elephant was one of the examples they rely on to prove this theory, although the theory itself is wrong. But elephants are really smart creatures, and one of the things that prove their intelligence is their ability to use tools. In 2010, they tested an Asian elephant. His name is Kandoa. They put a fruit in a high place that he can't reach easily, and there was nothing to help him except a plastic box placed at the end of the garden. And the surprise was that Kandola went to the box, and Fatal dragged him to the place of the fruit and stood on it and caught it with his saluma. And if we came to look at the elephants in the wild, we will find them sometimes using broken branches to reach their goals. And this is although the topic is very hard for the elephants because they depend on their smiles to touch and smell, but they are still very good at the subject. And one of the funny things is also in elephants that they can distinguish between differences in the human race and age and race also by cooling his voice only. In one of the experiments, the researchers played an audio clip in 2 different languages for 2 men. One of them is a midwife famous for killing elephants, and the second is from the Kumba tribe who love elephants, and the 2 who say in the recording the exact same sentence. The result was that the group showed signs of fear as soon as they heard the voice of the man who speaks the language of the disasters. In the second, they didn't show any symptoms. And when they heard the same recordings in the voice of women and children, they didn't get upset and knew that they don't pose any danger to them. All this besides that the memory of the group is very strong and they don't forget anyone who saw him. And this is what happened in 2022 when an elephant broke into the house of a 70-year-old woman and killed her, and it turned out that this lady hurt him before, and not only that, he didn't just kill her, he was able to get to her funeral place, and this is what he sought for her again. And since elephants don't forget the faces of humans, they also don't forget their relative, like what happened with the elephants Shirley and Jenny, who were able to get to know each other after more than 20 years of branching. And one of the things that prove their intelligence the most is their ability to recognize themselves in the mirror, which is considered a very rare feature. If we move from land SADs to marine SADs, we won't find smarter than dolphins. Dolphins are the only sea creatures who can recognize himself in the mirror. Even then he prefers to look at places who can't see it without a mirror. Add to that he has an extraordinary ability on understanding symbols and signs, and with time he can memorize human camels and understand what is meant by it too. And this is what we can easily see with trained dolphins, and who understands it well when the captain says to them, "Put the ball around," or "Put the ball inside the ball." And this is also that dolphins are creative, and you can come up with ideas for play, like they play with a small fish as if it were a ball, or make a speed race between them and each other, or even invent clever ways to sign prey. Like a group of them, for example, agree that they gather in a certain place. They eat them, and not only that, even in families they use their intelligence because they take the largest amount of food. And once in the year of dolphin training, her name is Kelly for cleaning her sink, and every time she cleans the sink they hand it as a bonus. They discovered that she hides a paper in every little while she cuts a small piece of it. She throws it in the sink so that when you clean it she gets a reward, and her son is also a fate. He learns this trick from her by observation, and this means that dolphins, you can learn from each other and quickly too. And that's what happened with Dolphin Bailey, who was rescued in the 80s. He spent 3 weeks in rehabilitation, and after they returned him to his environment they found him imitating the trained dolphins that he saw, and he walks on his tail like them. And during these days of skill, all the members of his group were doing it. And on top of all that, it was the most amazing thing. Researchers have discovered that some dolphins, it uses individual whistles to distinguish each other, and that each one of them has a special name the rest call him by. Before we get out of the sea, there is another creature because of his charity make people suspect that he is from another planet in the first place, and this creature is the octopus. The cup knows how to open doors and solve the labyrinths and invent solutions to any problem you face. I mean, if you put a bottle inside a jar and close it, he will know how to open the jar from inside and get out. In one of the experiments, the researchers brought a chubby and put food inside a closed jar, and they made a small hole in the jar. He knew that the one inside the jar ate and tried until the food came out. This is besides that the hidden, unlike most sea creatures, knows that it is in a place other than its natural environment, and no matter how much they provide him with all the right circumstances, he also tries to escape. And to a large extent he succeeds in escaping. This is also that he prefers to make anxiety in any laboratory they take him in to get rid of him. And this is what actually happened in one of the laboratories of the University of Otago in New Zealand, and who always noticed that the fish disappear from the ponds for no apparent reason, and when the cameras came back they discovered that there is an octopus that goes out and opens the tanks and eats the fish in it and put his again in the cabasa. He was also spraying water on the electricity switches so that the light separates and no one sees it, and this is although he is not trained on any of these. And his plan really succeeded and he returned to his environment. And the amazing thing is that the hiccups can recognize the faces of humans very well, and you don't forget it either. And when the researchers did an experiment, they made someone give the octopus food, and the second hits him with a stick. Whenever the cloak sees the person who trains them even from far away, they spray water on him and they want to choose from him, and if he thinks that these are their abilities only, what you hide was greater. Based on research and studies, the octopus has 8 brains, distributed on each of its armor other than the central brain. And that's why each arm can make a separate decision, and he does it on his own without going back to the main brain. So I want you to be happy with your imagination like this, and imagine a creature like this, what he could do. For a very long time, specialists in the study of fish and sea creatures have been, and even fishermen and people who live near the beaches, that they notice a very strange phenomenon that they have no explanation for. He finds fish in their body circles or pits until the flesh of the fish is found from inside, and sometimes some fish find more than 20 holes in their body. Some of them are living in the water, but some are thrown on the beach. And not only that, these circles were carved on the bodies of fish that are large in size, like dolphins or even sharks. The cute creature in front of you in this picture is the lamprey. At first glance, if you look from above, you will feel that it is a very normal sea creature that looks like a tiredness, and you may also feel that he is nice and peaceful, but the first time you look at him from below, and specifically the bottom of his mouth, you'll see this terrifying scene. The lamprey or stone sucker is a species of marine animal belonging to the Lafaki sect. Its length ranges from 13 centimeters to 1 meter, and this creature is very simple in its structure. His whole body is a cartilage with no bones at all. And he doesn't have zoni and a double like fish. Even his body has no crusts and his movement is also slow. And he barely has 1 nostril and 7 breathing holes on each side. He uses them like a squirrel. But despite all this, the lamprey has a lethal weapon. He depends on him for almost everything in his life. It is considered the main reason for the survival of the lamprey to this day, especially when you know that the lamprey, despite its position capabilities, but it has been on Earth for more than 360 million years. The weapon that strengthens his heart is his mouth. The lamprey has a round mouth that has dozens if not hundreds of sharp teeth, made with keratin and proteins. And in the middle of these teeth there is a pointed tongue that consists of 3 parts that acts like an excavator. This is other than that the exit frame of the mouth is very soft, and this makes it look like the cupping cup, or like the wire of the sink. And this strange structure of the mouth makes the lamprey can stick or cling to literally any surface, so much so that it can stick to the rocks themselves, and there are many scenes in which the lamprey appears he is attached to his mouth in one of the rocks, and he left his body looking at the water, and this is the reason why lamprey is known as rock suckers. But of course a creature has a mouth like this, he will not be satisfied with the handcuffs and the rocks, and that is it, and here became the stud of the horse. So lamprey attacks any name of the people in front of him, salmon, sailor, root, etc. And as soon as any fish hints of these, he goes and jumps on her and doesn't tie her body with his mouth. And no matter how much this fish tries to run away from it, move right, move left, You fail in all attempts. At this time the lamprey starts using his pointed tongue and pierces the body of the fish with it, and as soon as it reaches the meat it makes an opening and starts sucking blood and fluids from it. Those in the body of the fish. During this operation, anti-loss substances are secreted from his remains so that the blood does not clot quickly and he can withdraw from it as he wants. Something like the mechanism used by mosquitoes and mosquitoes, but on a slightly larger size. And after he finishes his task, he unties his leg from the fish and moves away from it and goes down to the bottom and leave the fish with its body full of deep circular wounds, which is enough to cause the death of the fish. And if we assume that the fish was able to resist and live, with the passage of time she starts to lose a large part of her weight and its activity decreases because of the infections that happen to it in the wound. This strange animal is not satisfied with small fish, and that is it, not even the big fish the lamprey brings from the other, and attacks the huge creatures, which is like dolphins and roaches, even whales too. He shakes them and sucks their blood, and fluids are with them. And indeed a dolphin and a lot of roosters were spotted. They have circular bruises on their bodies because of his tools. The same goes for whales. In 1950 had a strange reality happen when they were examining a group of whales on the coast of Vancouver Island of Canada. Researchers have noticed signs of lamprey's teeth on the bodies of huge whales, like the humpback whale or the sperm whale or even the fin whale, which by the way is considered the second biggest whale in the world after the blue whale. I mean, this lamprey pasha didn't cut his card and he has not left in the world, but the difference between them and the small fish, these huge sea creatures have a distinctive characteristic, which is that their wounds are healed at a new speed, and that's why they can recover from the bites of the lamprey. But there is also something strange. The researchers were finding sharks, dolphins, and whales. They have in their bodies hollow cervicals like those of lamprey, but its size is very big, and her wound is a little deep, to the extent that some dolphins were dying with these wounds. This made the researchers suspect that there is another sea creature. He attacks in the same way as lamprey, but this time it's a little bigger and a little bit more violent. And these researchers, their complaint was in place. If the lamprey looks scary for you, let me introduce you to the cookie sprinkling. This animal looks so strange that you might imagine that it is an imaginary creature out of a movie, but it's actually a kind of small-sized frog. The cookie sprinkles are on average 42 to 56 years long for non. But despite that he has very strange Jasmanian qualities, initially this rash is 37 years old in the top row, their size is small, and about 31 years old in the lower row in the form of series. But these teeth are not alone like the rest of the sharks have. I mean, not every year alone, and it renews itself. The teeth of this shark are all connected to each other and are one structure, as if it means a crew boat. But our friend's tooth set looks like a saw. And to imagine how brutal this shark is, when the old dental kit falls to be renewed and another crew comes out, he swallows his old denture and destroys it to benefit from calcium and the elements in it. So imagine a shark eating its teeth. What can he do to your teeth? The cookie shark has an important advantage too, which is that his skin radiates certain lights or spectra. It attracts big fish to the place where it is, as if he is setting a trap for them exactly. The first time he glimpses a fish approaching a place, he attacks her immediately and takes a shower. And after he takes the bite, you find him a clove of salt and melt, and leaves a wound in the body of the prey that reaches a depth of 7 centimeters. And this is, by the way, the reason that made the scientists call it spraying the cookie, because it leaves a deep circular wound that looks like cookies. And his bite is much bigger and deeper than the wound that precedes the lamprey. And when the two researchers started looking for this cookie spraying behavior, they discovered that it attacks any sea creature in its environment, whatever its size. As long as he is around me, I will return to you, I will come back. And indeed, bites of the cookie shark have been spotted, found on dolphin seals. Whale. Shark fishwa. Fish of stinging irradiation he doesn't know. Escular fish ashta. Fish of the matter 100%, even fast marlin fish. As long as you move in the water, then there is no escape. When we come to talk about terrifying creatures who lived in eras before history, The first thing that comes to our mind right away is dinosaurs, and we forget that water bodies have a forced share of the land area, and creatures lived in it more than 570 million years ago. And no matter how terrifying the creatures living in the oceans today have reached, from sharks, whales, giant squirrels, and predatory fish, so also they don't come to anything next to the terrifying sea creatures who lived in prehistoric times. With a cruise missile object, a fish of your name used to live in saltwater in North America and Europe, known as the Euchino patron. And it is the name that paleontologists gave it after discovering the first fossil of the Earl of Canada, which means fish in Greek strong fins. And this is because the thing that distinguishes this fish the most, it is the presence of 4 strong fins at the end of its body and the arm of the tail. And the strange thing is that they were made up of bones that look like the bones of the shoulders, and the scientists entered the first thing they think is a wild animal or righteousness with me. But because of the large number of samples they found for this fish, which reached more than 3,000 samples, they were able to study it well and knew that it is one of the unique fish which became extinct in the late Devonian era, I mean about 370 million years ago. And who made them liken it to a cruise missile or a torpedo? It's the shape of her long, oval body, which ranges in length from 1.5 meters full 2 meters, I mean in the average height of a human being. Besides, she had a wide skull with large jaws that included a group of sharp fish, and this is what makes it one of the predatory fish to eat meat. The researchers believe that she was feeding on all the fish that are smaller in size, and she used the surprise method to repel prey. And this is because her strong fin was sure to help her swim at a tremendous speed in the direction of prey, because in 1 year you will be inside her mouth. In the Permian era, I mean 251 million years ago, the Earth experienced a mass extinction known as the Great Death extinction due to 70% of all terrestrial vertebrates that lived at that time, and 96% of the sea creatures disappeared. And one of the first creatures that was able to survive this great extinction, it's Xenacanthus, which means in ancient Greek, strange spined fish. This is because although Xenacanthus is classified as a shark, this is because of the shape of its skull, which is close to that of a shark, but her body was like a huge sea tire, with strong fins that extend the length of the spine. But what distinguished her more is that she has a long poisonous tooth made up of bone. It looks like a spine, but it's out of her head. And it is the age that she was using for sure in defending herself against predators, as any fish was trying to eat it. This tooth was throwing in her mouth, and when she died from the wound that the age will cause, you will die from the poison inside it. And this type of fish was discovered for the first time 1848 in Germany, and with time you know that she used to live in the wastewater in all the most deserving Europe, Asia, Australia, and the USA. And after studying the fossils of her skull, notice that she had teeth that look like the letter 2 or number 7. This means that God Almighty created it in a way. It allows it to feed on crustaceans and small fish, and all the fossils that have been discovered indicate that its length ranged from 1 meter to 2 full meters, and they expect that her weight was not heavy. This meant that it was moving quickly and with a new flow in the water. Now you have a fast fish, a trait that there are not many predators around. 3 of the greatest extinctions the Earth has ever seen. A fish like this, what makes it suck in the end? The truth is that the scientists themselves do not know the reason until now, but they expect that a strong volcanic eruption may have occurred, or an asteroid that fell to Earth at the end of the Triassic period of 200 million years ago. Piranha is one of the most feared fish in the world, and the second most exploited fish in horror movies after the shark. And this is despite the fact that it is a small fish, and the reason for this is the power of its equipment and its ability to make the blood comfortable from a distance. But if we look at the fossil record well and go back in time to 10 million years back, we will find that this modern-day piranha is not a thing next to the monsters of the old era mica. The mica piranha was about 1.5 meters long and weighed about 10 kilograms, I mean 10 times the weight of the piranha that exists today. When researchers discovered its fossil for the first time in 1900, they couldn't understand whether the fish in front of them was a predatory monster or a Muslim fish, and this is because all they found was a huge skull with large jaws with 2 rows of teeth next to it. But what puzzled them was that these teeth had a wide base like the teeth of Muslim fish. But at the same time it is serrated and ends in a smooth way like the teeth of predatory fish ate meat, and that's why the scientists remained confused for years, unable to classify this creature in front of them until they discovered another fossil of it in the Amazon in the 80s of the last century, and this is the fossil that helped them study it well, and in 2009 they confirmed that it was a giant catfish that lived in South America, specifically in the Amazon River basin in the Miocene era, about 10 million years ago, and her strange teeth are proof that she used to eat anything that came in front of her in the water. It didn't make a difference with her whether they were algae or fish. Besides her varied diet, her bite is also considered one of the strongest bites in the world. Of course, compared to the size of her scent, up to 4,750 nm. And this means that if it was in the size of the megalodon, for example, she would have been much stronger than him, and she would have deserved the title of living sea monster. And the reason for the extinction of this species of fish, I'm not sure about it until this day, but they may be extinct due to a lack of food resources after the Amazon was separated from the Barana. During the Devonian era and more than 360 million years ago, the coasts of North America were home to a huge predator-type fish named the hyenria. This fish fossil was first discovered in the estate of Pennsylvania, near the village of Hiner, and that's why they call it hyeneria. And this is the fossil through which we knew that the fish is about 4 reins long, I mean a little taller than 2 people standing on top of each other. From its body shape, the researchers predicted that it could weigh from 2 to 5 full tons. And this makes it one of the most bony fish that have been discovered throughout history. And this fish has big jaws. They include a set of sharp teeth. The length of the age of one of them reaches 5 centimeters. This is besides that the lower jaw is longer than the upper jaw. This meant that she could easily pull her horse inside her mouth, and even press it with its long bow too, to prevent her from escaping. And the researchers say that this fish must have been fleeing on all the fish that are smaller in size, and the amphibians and some animals too. She adds that she wasn't an easy prey, and not any fish she could eat. And this is not only because her body is piled up of strong bone, it was also covered with hard round peels. It protects it from predator attacks, and also the reason and the extinction of this type of fish is unknown, but it may also have become extinct due to a lack of food resources. The rhizodus is the largest, most powerful and fiercest fish of all time, among the fish of the water that have been discovered throughout history. And its length ranged from 6 to 7 meters, I mean with the height of a building consisting of 2 full floors, or we can say that it is a little bit bigger than a giant white squirrel. This fish was characterized by an equatorial body completely covered with large plate-like ashers, and it has a pole with a caramel that makes it move quickly and smoothly underwater. Besides that, he was also helping her to twist and shoot while devouring prey. This is because the researchers believe that she was following the method of rolling prey, and that she prefers to bring the prey to the right and left quickly before she swallows it. Something like this is similar to the method of anointing in hunting. She adds that she had large jaws with 2 rows of conical teeth, which are like pipes and which reach 22 centimeters long, and the one that prefers to be captured gradually towards the mouth from inside. That's why researchers think she was using her front teeth, so that the prey will be left until it dies. Then you start grinding it with the back teeth. And of course a fish with these specifications was not merciful. Her diet certainly included all kinds of fish smaller than her. Researchers believe this type of fish has existed for more than 360 million years, and he lived in the ponds and rivers in Ireland and Scotland and possibly North America as well. And the first time humans knew of the existence of this giant species of wild fish, it was through the fossil that was discovered in 1880 AD. But the fish ended its existence on Earth with the end of the Carboniferous Age. One of the most serious issues related to animals in general, you find one of them with giant physical characteristics and is also accompanied by a predatory nature and their insatiable desire to swallow every being in its surroundings. Whales, of course, are hard to find creatures that are bigger than them, or she has the same open appetite that she has. However, if you look at most species of whales except the killer orchid whale, which is not classified as a whale in the first place, you will find that most of them do not cause any danger to medium or large marine animals. Despite their strength and enormity, their nature is not predatory, but recently the world discovered the presence of a strange whale that was a killing machine, combining power, magnitude and predation, and dominate the world of the seas for millions of years. But the horror in all the sea creatures at that time. The Pisco Ica Desert, located near the southern coast of Peru in South America, serves as a gold mine for marine paleontologists. The area has seen the discovery of multiple species of extinct species and strange species of giant penguins. It reaches its height moderate to the height of the human. It has lived on Earth for millions of years. And while the presence of a Hasi team in the region at the beginning of this century, one of them asked a question, "I wonder what is the greatest discovery we can find here." One of the colleagues showed him a strange picture, giant tooth that resembles sperm whale teeth, but it's unnaturally huge. His height reached 40 centimeters. He explained to his colleagues that this age was discovered in Chile, in an area whose land is similar to with Pisco Ica Desert, and that it is possible to answer the question that his colleague asked. It is represented in the ages on the skull of the elderly whale. In 2008, on the last day of the expedition, they have already found the skull of a giant whale that was covered by 3 reins. Part of it is broken, but the jaw of the skull is completely present, and it fits the size of the rings that are in the jaw. With the giant tooth that was discovered in Chile, from the first look at the excavation, the sensory team reached it's coming back to a new species of whales. After research and study, it was found that the oceans have been dominating for 13 million years. At the time when it was the biggest spray in history, ice spray, the megalodon, the whale is considered one of the ancestors of the sperm whale, the largest predator of tooth otters in the world, but with characteristics in nature thousands of times more dangerous than any sperm whale, even if it is a terrible whale. The hero of the novel Of Your Hand, considered one of the ancestors of the sperm whale. The team of researchers named the whale Leviathan. It is the name used by the American novelist Herman Melville in reference to the terrible sperm whale in his novel Moby Dick, which inspired it from the incident of the destruction of a huge sperm whale of the American ship Essex in the early 19th century. The name itself was inspired by Melville from a mythical creature of a sea monster that resembles a snake. Over time, the name Leviathan became a term used to refer to any powerful sea monster. Accordingly, Herman Melville used him to refer to the sperm whale in his well-known novel, in honor of Herman Melville, the author of the novel. The team of researchers named the whale after Leviathan Melville, and if we take an overview of whales, we will find that every whale in our world right now has its own way of predation. The Beringia whale, for example, which is like the blue whale, it is characterized by the presence of perine plates instead of teeth. They are thin plates that hang from the upper jaw of the whale, and he uses it mainly to filter food from water. Although it is the largest animal that ever lived on Earth, but it depends on crustaceans like krill in its food. And krill is something like jambari, but the blue whale doesn't eat 2-3 a day. He eats nearly 40 million krills a day. It is enough for him to open his mouth underwater and devour a huge amount of his invaders at once. Here the plates of the planium work to trap food inside the mouth while the whale expels the water. Again, and that the absence of whales poses no danger to large marine animals. And if we put light on the toothed whales in our oceans, like the sperm whale or the beaked whale, we will find that although they have teeth, however, their equipment strength is weak and they are not used to using their teeth to kill prey. And they are satisfied with using the suction feature and swallowing the whole food, like the sperm whale does with the giant squid. Although the squid is on average 10 inches long and weighs 275 kilograms, but the whale does not think of using its teeth to cut it into small pieces, and he suffices to swallow it all at once, including his huge eyes and sharp beak. And the common thing here is between all the whales we mentioned, despite its enormous strength and size, it doesn't pose a real danger to large marine animals. Unlike the orca, for example, which is known as the killer whale, and who uses more than 50 sharp teeth 10 centimeters long for one age, and he grabs it tightly and cuts it before he eats it. And if you want to know more about the orca whale, you will find me a separate episode on the channel. Some researchers suggest that several orcas are stronger than several saltwater crocodiles. But even so, the orca is about half the length of a sperm whale, and its weight is not more than a quarter of its weight. We stopped comparing it to the blue whale in the first place. Imagine with me if the blue whale has the same teeth and the nature of the predatory orca. What could he have done in the world of the sea, and the extent of the danger it could have caused to all sea creatures, in the form of conflicts between them and the rest of the predatory creatures? And here comes the Leviathan to prove to us what would happen if the oceans had a whale the size of a sperm whale with teeth that were much stronger than the arc. And nature is more insatiable and predatory than the fish of the L. Although Leviathan is an ancestor of the sperm whale, the situation for him was very different from the whales that exist in our world today. Scientists were humbled by the size of the skull and jaw of the Leviathan whale, that its length is similar to that of the sperm whale, from 15 to 18 meters, but he strongly disagrees with him in the jaw strength and the bite force, which the researchers suggest is definitely the strongest bite of a predator that has been discovered in history. With giant teeth, the length of one of them reaches 36 or 40 centimeters. I mean longer than the teeth of the sperm whale, more than twice and 3 times longer than the sharp teeth of predatory orcas. And the evidence here is that the diameter of the one tooth reaches 12 centimeters, unlike a modern sperm whale. So Leviathan whale has teeth in both jaws, upper and lower. And the tooth in the upper jaw, at the end of it is a gap in which the tip of the lower tooth enters. The scholars inferred from this matter the whale could cut very large pieces of meat from the body of prey. His diet was supplemented by huge marine animals, especially from whales. Unlike orcas, which are used to hunting in groups, Leviathan doesn't need a group to hunt. One of the most powerful marine animals in history, Archmegalodon and Leviathan whale. Scientists believe that although it is difficult to have one of them on the other menu, however, the similarity of the diet between the two, certainly it was a door for disputes and conflicts between them. Forget that scientists suggest that Leviathan, besides its presence around South America, near to be discovered, he also lived in the tropics around the world, like the sperm whale. Thus, the possibility of him facing the megalod is very unlikely, and the answer to the question of who among them can prey on the other in case of a confrontation, it is a matter of debate among many people. Whatever the answer is, it will surely be a legendary battle. And unlike modern sperm whales that live most of their lives at a depth of 200 to 1,000 meters, Leviathan existed before sperm whales got used to this deep washing, especially with multiple menu types available near the rooftop. Accordingly, scientists see that she is not necessarily used to diving in the blind, and you should keep in mind that the Leviathan, like the sperm whale, has a very huge brain, and this means that it has a great deal of intelligence. I mean, not a brute force for nothing. And he also used the same strong hook system that modern sperm whales have to find his fries and reveal them easily. And this is through sound pulses that the whale releases and receives the echo that bounces back to so that the body determines where its position is in the water, and simply knew to have a complete map of the ocean, in the unique way that the sperm whale specifically uses to track the target. I give him an update moment by moment about the shape and location of the body or the target he is following. Add to this that scientists suggest that the speed of the Leviathan whale was reaching 50 kilometers per hour. I mean, the idea of escaping any prey from it is very difficult. As for the reason for the extinction of Leviathan whales, scientists and researchers have not come up with a 100% definitive reason, not even a specific time for extinction, but the closest theory suggests that they went extinct about 6 million years ago, and that the same reason that led to the flourishing of this type of sea creatures was the reason for the extinction. What is meant here is the large numbers of fish, dolphins, whales and seals of the sea, which was widespread in this time period, which helped these whales thrive and stop their huge food needs. With the Earth in the late Miocene period about 6 million years ago, The Earth was exposed to a range of climatic changes, which in turn led to the decrease in the number of these sea creatures. This is what led to the extinction of a number of huge creatures whose appetite is open, and as wonderful as it is a press, a creature like the Leviathan whale, but its extinction could be a mercy for many marine creatures in our surroundings today. But that's how we're done. Who got this far? All who are right, you are the most rude people. Make us like before and graduate so that we know how many have reached the other, and don't forget, if you have a nomination for an episode, write them in the comments. Peace. The oceans are home to the largest animals in our world, and the biggest of all. Blue whale is a unique case in the animal kingdom. It is unique with strange physical qualities, closer to science fiction books than reality, and he sings at the top of the biggest animals known to us, whether in our present time or at any time throughout history. If you were asked to imagine an animal that is as tall as a 10-story iron building, and 3 times the weight of the Megalian, and twice as double as the Argentinosaurus, and 20 times the weight of the T-Rex, and 25 times that of the African elephant, and he consumes nearly 40,000 kilograms of food daily. Probably the first thoughts that come to your mind, it could be Godzilla or King Kong. The blue whale is the largest known animal on Earth. And the truth is that this tidal space is not limited to our current era only, but it includes all the pictures, and there are no animals known to us throughout history, including dinosaurs approaching frightening size, the one on which is the blue whale. The length of the adult whale ranges from 24 to 30 meters, the equivalent of a full 10-story building. And it weighs sometimes close to 200,000 kilograms. People accept they are a little taller than Zikor, but the Zikor is less in weight than the people who share the same height. Because of their enormous size, a number of blue whales' internal organs, it reaches its sizes to totally abnormal rates, and it ranks first in terms of size at the level of the animal kingdom, especially the heart. And despite its huge size, but it is far from the measurements and analogies common among people. In most sources that I have dealt with the topic before, the enormous size of the whale prompted some to pray that his heart is the size of an arrow, and his carotid artery is so huge that it can accommodate for a young atom that he is a day inside him. But truth is that this talk, it was just theories. No chance to test its validity, and recently a whale was attacked. Dead blue near Kennedy County, on the Atlantic coast, and the scientists had the opportunity to get to know more about the amazing whale, and it turned out that the heart of the whale is working exactly 1.5 meters long, 120 cm width, and weight 180 kilograms. As for its main artery, despite its large size, but it expands with chastity for the head of an adult and nothing more, although the numbers not as much as the expectations inherent in rumors because of its size, but it is like the largest heart on Earth. It is considered twice the weight of the human heart, 640 times, and 14 times the heart of the African elephant, and he acts alone 5% of the total weight of the elephant itself. And if you look at the mouth of the whale and his tongue, will discover that the last isn't alone 2,700 kilograms, and his mouth is at a wide, capable of assembling 60 tons from water and food. It helped life on the vast Earth stations. Blue whales are gaining their majestic size. The ocean provides more room for whales to grow, and its size is one of the main factors, which is often frustrated by the increase in the size of animals, which is gravity. Gravity limits the size of wild animals to the extent that her bones can support him, but the process of ocean buoyancy, avoiding huge marine animals, gravity obstruction to increase its size, and it makes them grow more unlike other animals. If the huge size of the blue whale surprised you, you might be more surprised when you recognize the size of the little ones from the moment they are born. The blue whale calf enters our world and is already classified as one of the largest animals on Earth. After being crushed in his mother's womb for about a year, the little one comes out with a length of 7 reins and with a weight close to 3,000 kilograms, and its only source of food in its first months depends on breast milk, which has the biggest mammary glands on Earth. Every tomorrow they weigh the weight of baby elephants, and its length reaches 1.5 meters. Blue whale mothers can breastfeed their young daily. How much is 200 liters of milk? Some sources said it was 380 liters per day. and this amount of milk helps its small growth. And his unreasonably rapid weight gain, it reaches that his weight increases at the rate of 100 kilograms a day, and the little one reaches the stage of sexual procreation at the age ranging from 5 to 10 years, and at this stage the length of the sucker reaches an average of 20 to 22 meters, and people from 21 to 24 meters. As for the weight, it ranges from 90,000 kilograms to 100,000 kilograms. Blue whales live in all the oceans of the world, and sometimes you move in groups, but she often prefers to move around alone or every two together. And she is used to spending the summers in search of her food in the polar waters. With the arrival of winter, they migrate long distances towards the equator, and usually the blue whale becomes slow at a speed exceeding 8 kilometers per hour. However, if they are provoked or feel threatened, they can increase their speed to more than 30 kilometers per hour. And this number is not small at all due to their huge size. Blue whales are used as they migrate in the oceans, a series of powerful inspirations and sound impulses that allows her to communicate with each other. In navigation operations and detection of various objects in its surroundings, with the echo of the sound again, it can be a well-defined map similar to the scrotum systems in submarines. The blue whale has one of the loudest voices of all animals on Earth. Its sound pulse reaches 188 decibel. I mean stronger than the sound of the airplane engine, and the range of their voices reaches very large distances. It reaches 1600 km. Scientists discovered a strange thing among whales in terms of the communication feature, which is that unlike adults of whale, mothers and calves are usually content to make hums and squeaks in a low voice while they move. And he thinks they use this method to avoid being spotted by the Atta groups, which primarily targets whale calves and then adults of them. Orcas are the main natural predators of the blue whale. Despite its enormous size compared to the size of the orca, but the latter has the possibilities, which allows him to hunt and prey on the smaller big blue whale. And happy in this their constant movement in groups, unlike usual for the blue whale. Other than that, they have zakat and perseverance, who are happy to reach their prey. A number of studies indicated up to 25% of adult Cyanosic whales it has scars as a result of the orca's attacks on it, but we don't have figures on the death rates between the blue whales as a result of these attacks on them. The blue whale is a Balinese whale, and these whales have thin plates. It's more like nails than teeth. And these plates are shown from the upper jaw to the whale, and they use it mainly to filter food from water. Although the blue whale is the largest animal on Earth, however, it feeds primarily on one of the tiny crustaceans in the oceans, krill. And the whale can enough its big needs of food daily, which reaches about 40,000 kilograms by devouring nearly 4 million krills per day. And getting them these quantities is easy for the blue whale. It is enough for them to open their mouths to a giant and drink a huge amount of water, and with it large groups of their favorite meal. The thin baleen sheets allow water to escape easily, but it's enough to trap krill in their mouths, and then they swallow it once. Because of the movement of krill, the blue whale usually hatches at a depth of more than 100 meters during the day, and he is on the surface of the water during the night, and the duration of the dive often lasts for him for 10 minutes while he is eating, but in general he can dive for about 20 minutes before he comes to the surface to breathe. Unlike serrated whales such as the sperm whale and the beaked whale that have a single jet hatch, Balinese whales have two jet holes or a bilateral opening. A jet opening is an opening in the whale's heads that you use to breathe air as they rise to the surface of the water, and while exhaling, the blue whale comes out of the openings of risas closer to a repulsion of water. Its height reaches 10 reigns. I mean the height is a building of about 3 floors. And about the life cycle of the blue whale, scientists have found a way to determine their age through earwax. Every 6 months a new layer of wax forms inside the ear canals of the whale. And these layers mainly work to protect the ear canals, and it also helps to carry sound waves inside it. And these layers of wax can be used by scientists to deduce the actual age of the whale, and the average life cycle of the blue whale goes from 80 to 90 years, but the largest blue whale discovered has reached 110 years old. Before the whale hunter discovered the oil treasures that could provide the blue whale, their numbers were very generous in all the world's oceans, but unfortunately with the advent of whaling fleets in the 20th century where the blue whales complained of extinction, their numbers declined rapidly, horribly. So much so that in 60 years, more than 250,000 blue whales have been captured. In sources, I mentioned much bigger numbers than that, and it reached 350,000 whales. In 1966, the International Charter for the Regulation of Whale Fishing intervened the protection of the blue whale from fishing operations and tried to save it from extinction. Whale populations began to gradually recover, but unlike their original numbers. In the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the blue whale is currently classified as an endangered animal. After the blue whale was spreading in numbers exceeding 250,000 whales at the beginning of the current century, it reached numbers ranging from 5 to 12,000 whales despite the huge jump in numbers, even after almost 50 years of the blue whale hunting ban. However, its numbers continue to rise, albeit by small percentages. Recently he went out to the International Union for Nature Conservation blue whale population estimates, with numbers ranging from 10 to 25,000 whales. They swim in the oceans of the world. We have the opportunity to enjoy looking at the largest animals who lived on the face of the earth, and we meditate on the thunder of the Creator of God Almighty. But that's how we're done. Who got this far? All who arrive, you find people. Make us a like before you go out so that we know how many have reached the other, and don't forget if you have a nomination for an episode, write it in the comments. Peace.